Podcast, episode number 96. 96, not 86. Nobody's getting 86th. Yes, I'm Dave Z. I am here with who and who? First and foremost.
Hi, everybody.
Brandon.
I'm Christian.
Okay. They both said it. That's good. We're wonderful. We're very happy. We have two very special guests. See, I'm going rapid fire. I don't know why. And somebody's taking a piss or falling into the water. Okay. Something happened. This is the first time that's ever happened on the show.
That was the sound of Dan Chase's podcasting career.
Hey.
I'm sorry.
Well, she spoke. Let's say who it is. Well, you know who it is. Ladies and gentlemen, the lead writer at pophorror.com, one half of Cut to the Chase, one half of the new They're Here podcast. I think I covered the podcasting stuff. Hello.
Oh, I got one more coming.
Well, of course you do. You wouldn't be a billion if you didn't. Ladies and gentlemen, Lacey Lou. Hello.
AKA the female Venom.
What do you mean?
95 podcasts. Have you thought about changing the name of Cut to the Chase to Cut to the Lou?
Skip to the loo.
Oh, wow.
Soundboard. Get that queued up for an hour.
I had.
What is that?
Of course, it started buffering on me.
Well, I'm confused.
Skip to a Lou. It's very good.
Wait, was that noise you, Brandon?
Flush sound for an hour.
That was
ready
a
to
flushing
go.
toilet sound.
That joke. For that joke, when we were waiting for you, Dave, to come back, he had this ready to go, and
I
it's
had that ready to go an hour ago, and it started buffering the minute I hit it.
So wait a minute. That noise at the beginning was you?
That was a toilet flushing over
Yes,
YouTube.
but it was you. You did it.
Yes.
Oh, I feel so much better now. Okay, now I can fucking bust your balls. What the fuck are you doing? 96 shows. We've had great intros. Everybody heard everything we said. I couldn't even introduce the guest properly. And I thought Lacey was making some noise over there, and it was you with a fucking phone.
No,
why are you
that
blaming me?
That first noise was not me. That first noise was not me. When I said Dan Chase's podcasting career,
It wasn't you?
that was not me. No,
Oh, it
the
was
sound of
Lacey.
the
Well,
sound
there
of
you
the
go.
toilet.
It wasn't me. I'm gonna fine. Just 86 me. I'm
Oh,
done.
fuck. Okay. It was maybe it was our other guest. Okay, wait a minute.
Hey.
Maybe it was. Listen, it wasn't me. This is
It
gonna,
was an A.
we're not even gonna do the podcast. We're just gonna find out who made that mysterious noise.
It was your AirBuds.
yeah.
Oh, fuck you. Ladies and
Space.
gentlemen, my great friend, my co-host from ABC's A Hidden Horror, and formerly on the Skeleton Crew, and the host of Liking It, the creator of Liking It, I should say, one of my favorite people, my sis, Miss Jamie Sammons. Hello.
Hello.
And how are you?
That's like it. I'm doing well. I'm very excited to be here. I didn't think it was ever going to happen.
Long
I was
overdue.
Like they're never going to ask me. Well, then it turns out that apparently 2/3 of you thought I hated you.
Correct. See?
No, it's funny. It was sort of like, I think Dave was protecting you guys. Like, I think he didn't want, like, Matt's the only one that's kind of stuck on the show from any of the other podcasts. And Watson, for whatever reason, feels like he's got carte blanche to come on whenever he wants.
I noticed that.
Well, at least you didn't get a toilet flushing entrance. Like, I mean,
That was
disrespectful.
me skipping out of the loo.
My joke was
no, we got
the
it.
other half of Hershey One. But that was, I didn't know if that was
half
a
of
better
what?
joke. Of Hershey One. That's
I don't get it.
Yeah,
I'm moving on.
see it, Dan, only.
I'm
Sorry.
moving on. I don't know. Yeah, we can't be disrespectful because they are here. This month is Women in Horror Month, so we decided why not now to have some of our favorite friends who just happen to be females that love horror on the show. So all month, that's what we're going to have, and these are the first two that are on. So let me ask you individually, Jamie and Lacey, what do you think about the whole Women in Horror thing? Nobody wants to talk about it? Okay, they both fucking hate it. Let's forget about it.
Well, no, actually, Jamie and I were talking about this the other night when we did. We recorded the top 10. And she was actually really informative of how the origin of Women in Horror started.
Yeah. Well, I was there.
Yeah.
And
In the
And-
room?
Well, no, not physically in
Oh,
the room,
shit.
but I was part of that when Hannah Neurotica was the inceptor of Women in Horror Month, and we all ran in the same circles. This is back when I was with Viscera, doing the film festival thing, and all of that. So yeah, I was around for it when it started, and I know a lot of people have problems with it. The thing is, when she started it, it was not about, hey, let's trash men, let's ignore, it's not about that. It's just about the fact that we just, by the numbers, women who work in horror there are fewer women directors. There are few, and so it's just a way to highlight the ones that they are, and hopefully by doing that, encourage other women to join in. That's all it is. It's just we want to encourage young women out there who are interested in the horror genre to come on in, because the waters are warm. I don't personally think that anyone has ever done anything to keep me out of doing anything I wanted to do. I've gotten to do things I wanted to do. I'm not going to blame anyone else if there's anything that I haven't accomplished yet. That's all on me. So it's not about that, and it's not about saying, oh, we're they're keeping us down. No, it's more just a celebration of the ones who have come before, the ones who, like Ida Lupino, who she goes way back, and no one ever really talks about her, but we have people. There have been female directors that they just don't get necessarily talked about, and sometimes people are like, oh, I didn't know that when that movie was directed by a woman, and it may not even matter, because honestly, it doesn't. To me, a good film is a good film. I don't care who made it. There was a couple years ago, there was a movie that came out as the anthology film XX. That was the whole point of that movie was that it was female driven. That was the whole gimmick. Unfortunately, it wasn't good.
Right.
So I'm not, it wasn't good. And I'll be the first one to say it's not good, guys. And it's not that that I feel like women in the genre need to be boosted up just because they're women. No, you still have to make good product.
Exactly.
Yeah. XX was not a good movie, but Catherine Kusama, who did The Invitation, which is one of my favorite films of the decade. And I was recently doing some research because we're doing the top 100 of the decade, and I came across a top 50 list of the decade on Film School Rejects on their site, and their number one for the decade is The Invitation.
That's a very good movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah.
I gotta watch it. We were actually talking about that the other night, and Dan, I feel like he's the Jason Lloyd of Jason Lloyds, but when it comes to it, well, no, he's actually he either really loves something or he fucking hates it. But he was he said that it has its niche of it's kind of a slow burn, I guess. I've never seen it, but he described it as a slow burn with a payoff.
I think it has some of the best acting I've ever seen, period, in film. I think it's just a brilliant performance from Logan Marshall Green and Tammy Blanchard are the two leads, and they're phenomenal. And it's just got a great cast of supporting actors. It's really worth it.
Well, I will watch it and get back to you.
Yeah. Please do. Yeah. We'll wait.
It's a 7.5.
Just give it a fair shake.
It's got to be higher than that.
Unlike your Lake Mungo.
And now the whole
Mungo.
Oh my God, really?
Oh, do not get me started, guys.
You never know. See, you don't know what Lacey.
This actually angers me that she doesn't like that movie.
I hate that movie.
It doesn't make any sense. It
makes plenty of sense. It was slow and boring, and I like slow burns, but this one just didn't pay off.
Are you kidding me?
You're arguing with her. Jamie's on your side, and you're yelling at her. No, it makes sense.
I'm not.
No, she likes the film. Yeah, no, we discussed this the other day, actually.
She's saying that what Lacey's saying doesn't make any sense. Not that the movie doesn't make sense, right? Yeah, I'm always in sync with Jamie. I always know what you're thinking. Yep.
That's true. That's funny. I was with Brandon. I thought they were arguing against each other.
Yeah, I was like,
that would have been cool.
I mean, if you say it doesn't pay off, did you watch the end?
Yes.
Do you know what happened at the end?
Where it was like she like seen her own death. Right?
I think you need to rewatch the movie. I said this the other night, and I stand by it. I think you do.
Okay.
Because Dan, and I say that because Dan said you were distracted when you watched that movie.
Well, okay, I watched this movie when
was he giving you a honey nipple while you were watching this?
Well, no, we used to watch movies, like, this is so cheesy, but we used to watch movies when he was in Massachusetts and I was in Iowa, and we would watch movies like via texting, like it was a whole thing. It would be like, ready, 3, 2, 1, hit play. Like, it was a real thing. Like, that was how we watched movies.
Yeah. I think it's awesome. Wow.
He can't do that because he watches everything at 1.5. So it's like, all right, I'm done.
That's a good thing.
But it was harder. I will admit it was harder to like pay attention, like, because you're texting like how you feel about a certain scene or whatever. And like other movies were harder to watch than others, and that one definitely was. I mean, we watched it at like 11 o'clock in the morning. He's like, we need to watch this late at night. I was like, no, we're gonna watch it right now. And it probably wasn't the best time, but you know what? I will attempt to give it a rewatch, but we'll see. They're taking it off of Tubi. It said expiring soon. I seen that. I was like, yeah, even they know it's shit.
Oh, stop it. No. But you can't text during a movie. That's half your problem because you have to watch and pay attention. Like, you guys, everyone knows I take notes. Well, even when I take notes for a movie, I pause it and then I take the notes and then I press play and go back to the movie. I turn my phone upside down. I do it all, dude. I don't miss a fucking thing.
It took him 3 weeks to watch Midsommar.
You did this for the Mutilator?
Can you just say that? Can you say the name again, Brandon?
Midsommar?
Like, is it really drawn out like that? Midsommar?
Yeah, it is. Sommar. How else can you pronounce it? Somar.
Midsummer?
No,
yeah, a lot of people say Midsummer, but even I, who's not a huge fan of the film, won't disrespect it by saying Midsummer.
What do you mean?
Midsommar. I'm pretentious. It's Midsommar.
That's what it spells.
That word is so cringy.
It is kind of cringy.
It is a cringy word when it's describing film. That's what bothers me the most. Like, anytime someone watches an artistic film and they don't get it, that's their standby word. Yeah, their go-to. Oh, I don't like it. It's pretentious. Why? Because you watched it and you couldn't figure it the fuck out? It didn't happen to me.
No, the word actually has a meaning, and sometimes it actually applies. You know, Oz Perkins. But
Whoa.
She does not. She's the only one. I'm so glad. I'm so vindicated on this because Jamie and Brian were the only ones that didn't like that movie.
Black Coat's Daughter.
When it first dropped, and we all saw it early, and they fucking hated it, and I loved it. I'm like, I wonder what's gonna happen. Then the movie came out, and like 95% of people love it. So I was like, yes.
He's like, I wonder what's gonna happen.
Yes.
Now, the thing is, I really love the story of that film. Mm-hmm. I just feel like he failed to deliver the emotional impact that should come with that story. And but the one I straight up hate is I Am the Pretty Thing. I can't stand that movie.
I Am the Pretty Thing.
I'm there with you, Jamie. That one, yeah, that was tough.
You're not supposed to be sober.
That's a stationary burn.
I feel like I've never seen horror films like all the movies you guys are mentioning. I haven't seen.
See, Lacey,
stop watching Scream over and over.
I recommend you check out Black Coat's Daughter. It really is an excellent.
Well, no, I've seen. No, it's one of my favorites actually. Oh, but I haven't seen I Am the Pretty Thing. That was. I've seen that one.
Don't
bother
do it
with
sober. Don't do it sober.
Don't do it at all.
And watch it, and you'll love it.
That's not a good advertisement for the film. Don't watch it.
I love movies that you have to take drugs to enjoy. Yeah, I do. I'm sorry. If drugs happen to enhance a certain kind of a movie or a certain type of music and takes you to places that you couldn't ordinarily be taking to, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with saying, hey, this is great, but if you're sober...
If you're on drugs?
Well, yeah, but I mean, some movies are specially made...
It's simply amazing.
Yeah, but some movies are made for drugs. Some movies are made for drugs, like some music is. It just is. So, like, some people that don't like anything trippy, I understand. They've never taken drugs. They can't relate. like Veal. Veal doesn't like anything that's fucking trippy whatsoever. So, without telling me, no one has to tell me this. I have a good feeling that Veal didn't, partake in many substances, and that's fine. I'm not waving a flag saying, hey, everybody get high and take acid all the time. I'm not saying that, but I can tell the type of people.
I'm kind of the same. That's why, because I've never done any like hallucinogenics or anything, so I'm not really a fan of films like Mandy or Enter the Void or Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I just can't get into those. I feel like you have to be out of your mind.
I agree with you,
Brandon.
Brandon.
I can't stand Hunter S. Thompson. That's my
I love that movie though.
That's one of my least favorite movies. I could not stand it. Yeah.
Oh, it's so much fun. Wow. Oh well, we're all different. What are you gonna do? But back to the whole. I think the women in horror. I'll say this about that. That's how we got started on this whole thing. Nowadays, we've come so far. Like, wouldn't you agree, Jamie? Back in even 2012 when you first started in the podcast game, or even earlier. Pardon me.
That was 2008. Yeah.
Right, even earlier.
Wow.
So
wow.
Think about then, and think about now, and take a look around, and look at just people that are podcasting. Right?
It's huge. When I first started, I was such a novelty that people were like clamoring to I could work anywhere I wanted, basically, as far as I could pop on any show I wanted, I could be on any network I want, because there were so few of us that they knew it would be a draw. Because the same thing happened when I started writing, which was way earlier than that. And there were so few women writing in horror that people just flocked to it. And back in the days when you didn't know who anyone really was, and all you had was some random avatar and then a made-up name, like a made-up scream name. I knew male writers who pretended to be female solely because it got them more attention. As far as people paid more attention to what they had to say. And it's
makes sense.
It's because, you go back into those old forum days, and, if a woman rears her head in a horror forum back, 15 years ago, then all the guys are like, what, who, what? And it's not that female fans weren't out there. It's just that they weren't that vocal. And, we've always been out here. But until the internet came along, I didn't have any friends that were horror fans. I was the only one. And it's weird.
I didn't have any friends.
It was weird and lonely, to be that. Well, yeah, to have no one to share stuff with,
You mean male or female, Jamie?
Male
you didn't have
female.
any friends?
Yeah, I didn't know anyone in person who loved
how many times have you gotten when as a female, Jamie, you tell another girl horror movies are your favorite genre? What kind of movies do you like? I like horror films. And they just give you this it's like a Karen, and they give you this look of disgust. Shut up, Susan.
Yeah,
it's always a Susan.
I don't like horror films. They're scary. And I'm just you're an idiot. I don't
know what? They should watch Black Christmas from last year. It's the good gateway.
I still haven't seen it.
I will never see it.
I just had to bring that up.
I get the other end of that, which is, I love horror too. And I'm doing this. I'm doing my normie impression here.
You ask them a question.
I like horror too. My favorite Friday the 13th is, and this is a true story, I'm not making this up as an example. My favorite Friday the 13th is the one with Jamie Lee Curtis. Okay.
I like that one too.
Good job. And it's
that's when you sack.
You're fired. But yeah, most of the time it's it's a look of, I've even gotten this response, but you look so normal.
Oh, yeah.
What the hell does that mean?
Right?
Yeah, we get that too, but I could just imagine. I was any horror fanatic growing up always got, there must be something a little off. I can imagine it being even worse if I was female. I can.
Yeah, I don't get that as much now as I did before, but it still happens. But most people around me now know who I am, and they know what my life's about. And if they take one single step into my home, there is no doubt. Yeah. You can't get away from it. So, most people, that's one of the first things they find out about me these days. But
yeah, horror is life.
Amen.
Yep.
If you go to Brandon's house, you open up the freezer, there's 1,000 severed heads in there.
Yeah, big freezer.
Look at him.
Well, no, and like I feel like I don't know, like
father.
one of the comments that I got when a guy was asking me, like, this is way before Dan, but they were asking me, like, what I was into. I was like, but yes, I was like, they were like, what are you into? I was like, well, I'm really into horror films. He's like, you're into freaky shit, huh? And I was just like, no, like, how did it go from that to that? Like,
you're into freaky shit. Like, have you ever had a honey nipple? I'm sorry, Jamie. This is now a permanent thing on Exploding
Are you
Heads.
kidding me? Do you know how excited I am at that prospect?
That it's
I love
official. I don't think Dave's loving it as much. I see Christian laughing. I don't see.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Dave, you're not okay. You're liking the honey.
I was thinking about
decidedly
something.
Grumpy over there.
No, I was thinking about what Lacey was saying about the guy assuming that she was into freaky shit, and I'm going to be the devil's advocate, because when I was younger, all of not very many, but anytime I did encounter female horror fans, they were like goth chicks. They were into all kinds of fucked up shit. And usually, not always, but usually women like that are into freaky stuff, and they are into freaky stuff in the bedroom as well. So granted, you're being painted with a brush that isn't necessarily fair, but there was a time when the people I encountered, even in my 20s, if I could talk to a female about horror, she was usually a whacked out girl into drugs and everything else, and horror was part of it. She was into horror, drugs, cutting her wrist sometimes maybe, and having a choker on, and that guy pulled her hair all at once. Not all at once, but
Dave, stop! You're turning me on.
I don't think the choking and the pulling the hair and the cutting oneself and drug use is like mutually exclusive. Like I'm okay with part of that.
Yeah, it's just so happens I enjoy all four of those.
Yeah,
all of it. But I'm just saying, when I met a girl, the girls like that were the only ones.
Had I met you back then, you would have associated me with like cutting myself.
Not necessarily a cutter, but probably freaky and prone to depression. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, do I strike you as a depressing person though? Like, I mean, I know not me, but I mean, this is also 2020. So, I mean, you're talking back in the day, like there's different, like it's changed, it's evolved, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Back then, the horror people that I met, the females, the very few that I met, were that type of person. I would not meet them at a regular nightclub. If I encountered them, it would have been a different type. No, it would have been a different type.
I'm just picturing you at a nightclub, Dave, like going up. So what are you into?
He's more of a speakeasy kind of guy.
Cutting, choking.
He used to hang out at Club 86.
Oh, damn it, Brandon, I was about to make that joke.
Sorry.
Like, I'm just picturing this all in.
I agree with you, Dave.
Thank you.
And that just shows how much the landscape has changed. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad it's changed.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Even for guys too, because even when you go to the conventions, it's like a mix. You see guys and girls who are gothed out and tatted up and different color hair, and then you see someone like me. I don't have a tattoo. I don't have any piercings, nothing like that. But it's a mix.
You're right. I guess I never, I always thought about the stigmata between, how females were viewed. I never thought about, how I view guys that liked horror back in the day. I guess it was just, rare because nobody, where I'm from, likes horror films, it seems. So, I mean, that's a very real thing. I remember, I was the one that always showed everybody, Sleepaway Camp, when I discovered that when I was a kid. And I just remember everybody just looking at me I don't get it. And I'm like, she's a chick with a dick. What's not to get?
Corn. I want corn. Show her the corn.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, Iowa. The cornfields. The cornfields. Yes.
That they would get.
Yeah.
But did you do the same,
Got a cob of corn for a cock.
Wow.
Oh yeah, we curse on the show. Did we not make that?
No, we cuss. We cuss on the show.
Oh, cuss. Yeah. I fucked up the word already.
Well, we're glad it is where it is. We're glad that there's many more now, and everybody's. I mean, nobody has to fight for anything. It's like Jamie said. Nobody ever held her back because of her gender, and now some people might think they still want to fight the fight, but it's not really necessary. They're welcomed. Everybody's welcome. It's freaking. I mean, look at us. We. It's like I always say, we're already outcast in a way of speaking. Who are we to freaking say, hey, you guys aren't allowed here? That'd be ridiculous. So, the way I look at it, everybody's involved. Everybody's here, and I'm glad they're here.
The fact still remains that a lot of producers are still under the impression that, and a lot of studios are still under the impression that women don't sell, as far as like female directors don't sell. Even after Kathleen Bigelow has done some of the amazing things she's done, including winning an Oscar, a lot of them just still think, okay, like what was his name? Oh, he's dead now, I think. But
Rex Reed.
No. He was a comedian. Oh, what the hell is his name?
Bill Cosby. Wait,
damn it.
George Carlin.
No. Shoot.
Ernie Kovacs.
Anyway, do you guys remember that show years and years and years ago? It was like a reality show called Project Greenlight.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Matt Damon wasn't it? Matt Damon and Ben Affleck were the producers of that, weren't they?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Feast
There was a guy that came on that show. He's an older man. He was
Clue Gulager.
Oh no, I love.
She loves Clue.
I love Clue.
And Son. Yeah,
I
the
love
Son.
John
Yeah.
too. But,
and the game Clue. I love that too.
Penny Marshall, Gary Marshall, that's his name. Okay,
Oh.
I had to go all around the world to get it. But anyway, Gary Marshall made the statement that women aren't funny. That just inherently women aren't funny.
What do you mean?
Penny, that he's just women aren't funny. Women aren't funny comedians. Women can't make funny movies. Women just they can't.
A lot of comedians say that. Jerry Lewis has said that. So
yeah,
is Adam,
I mean, a lot
Adam
of
Carolla.
A lot of people believe that women just can't do it, and if they believe that, and people believe that women can't do horror, and people believe that they don't sell. You know, that women run movies, don't make box office, and it's not true. And you know, the fans, we as horror fans, don't even think that. Most of us don't even think that way.
Right.
No, not at all.
That's the studios and the producers. They're the ones who hand out the money. So if they're not going to give you money, you can't make your movie. So it's just that still happens. Not as much as it did. I'm not saying it's as much as it did, but it is still out there. But the sad part is like I said, most horror fans don't give a shit who's behind the camera. All we want is a good movie.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know, I guess that's the first time a studio has made a shitty decision, you know, like they do that all the time. You know, they do things that fly in the face of what fans actually want every single day.
Well, you mentioned Bigelow earlier. I actually if I knew she was directing the film, that actually got me out to go see it. She was Near Dark, Strange Days.
Blue Steel.
Like I would just see everything.
Any relation to Deuce?
What did you say?
Or Bam
I
Bam?
didn't hear you.
Blue Steel.
Blue Steel with Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah.
I just watched that the other day.
Did you know Jamie Lee was in my favorite Friday the 13th?
Did you know we share a birthday?
You and JLC?
Yeah. We were born on the same day.
I love how
Fun
you
fact.
short form everything, Dave. Everything.
Everything has initials in Dave's world.
Damn straight. I quicken it up. That's why I get so mad at 22 shots. How they call it, what do you call it? Remember they do it on the show and Jeremy Bust moves his balls because he calls it dub. And I go, well, he's not shortening at all by saying that. You know what I'm saying? Because what does dub stand for? What we watched. It's the same amount of syllables. So when you shorten something, the idea is to cut out the syllables. So you should say, you know, whatever, triple dub.
I was going to say, what about triple dub?
Something. But if you're calling it dub shortens nothing. It's just like saying, I'm all about shortening syllables. I was way ahead of the kids nowadays. You know, they shorten everything. It's AF is the big thing and everything else. And hell, I say that shit.
I don't know why, but I just pictured Bert and Ernie, like, you know, because he has the rubber ducky. I don't know why. That was the dub, like rubber dub, and I don't. Okay,
oh,
I'm
3
done.
men in a tub. Yeah. Dub. Yeah, they should call that they should change it to the bat segment.
Guess what? Adam Carolla was right. Women aren't funny. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Wow. I never claimed to be funny.
Stick to horror.
Hey, I'm into that freaky shit. Leave me alone.
Unfortunately, those are the jokes on this stupid show. I apologize.
Whatever, dub.
What were we even talking about that it went to dub? I totally lost the train of
Oh,
thought.
JLC.
JLC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
I felt like I had something to add, but I can't even remember now.
How about Jason?
She made me feel bad lately. Jamie Lee Curtis made me feel bad because she went on a rant about saying if you're a horrible parent, show your kids Halloween.
Not even a horrible parent. You're the worst kind of parent. Or no, you're one of the worst
person
people
in the world.
So a pedophile is better than me who shows my daughter Halloween. Son of a bitch. Put the cuffs on me.
You know what? I wouldn't be who I am or doing what I'm doing if my mom hadn't been showing me horror films from the time I was in the womb. And that I'm dead serious. Like I cannot there is no time when I wasn't watching horror in my life. And I thank her for that every single day because it's like the one thing she did right. But
what was your first horror film, Jamie?
Oh Jesus. Technically Texas Chainsaw Massacre because I was there when my mom saw it. But I obviously don't remember that. The first thing I remember really affecting me, there are two. One is Jaws, and the other one is Salem's Lot. Then they were kind of around the same time that I remember seeing Jaws around the same time. I watched Salem's Lot when it originally aired, and that was in '79. And right about that same time, my next door neighbor had a VCR. He was like the first person I knew that had a VCR, and he had two movies. He had Jaws and Moonraker. And I used to watch those repeatedly. And so
awesome.
Jaws used to freak me out to the point that I would be in the bathtub and I would have to get out of the bathtub because I just knew that the shark was going to get me. And then Salem's Lot, that movie kept me sleeping with my neck covered until I was 12 years old. So
we just did our last episode on that, which I still haven't edited yet, so it's not out. But it's crazy because we were talking about wishing to have seen that way back in the day. Because I don't think I caught any of it, Salem's Lot, when it was on TV.
I still haven't caught it.
It was like I remember it was like I didn't even know what was going to happen. Like I didn't know what we were doing, but it was like a family event. I had two stepsisters and a stepbrother and my stepdad and my mom, and we all gathered in the den, and we just they sat us down and we were watching this. It was like an event, but I didn't know. I was too young to even realize what we were doing. But then those Glick boys, motherfucker. They haunt me to this day.
Just don't listen to a review then.
Well, I put over the
Jiminy Glick?
Yeah.
Jiminy Glickett? What'd you say? Son of a bitch. What was I going to say? Oh, you're not going to believe this. Because I said when we reviewed Salem's Lot, one of the things I said is I wish they spent more time on the background of the Marston house instead of the bullshit domestic stuff that we had to deal with certain things in that movie were slow. But here's what's crazy, guys. I was watching. I started. I had to restart it because I watched 2 episodes before, and then I went 2 months without watching it. So my whole family, we sat down. We started watching season 2 of what's that show? Castle Rock. And guess what? They are going into the background of the Marston house on that show. So the thing that I said that someone should do, they are doing. I was like, son of a bitch. I told my wife, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I was just saying someone should do this, and here they are. Of course, they did it before I mentioned it, but yeah, pretty crazy. And I know what Jamie's saying about that Salem's Lot and it being a gathering because it was a miniseries back then in the 80s, in 79, whatever. That was an event, and families did get together to watch a miniseries. Sometimes you'd have to wait a full week to see the second part of it. Remember that? Wasn't it only on Sundays? Yeah.
That is why I have anyone who ever hears any of my shows probably knows already that I have a huge, huge soft spot for TV horror films from particularly the 70s and 80s. And it's because it was a big deal, when it was, movie of the week and it was a horror movie, I was so down, and it was something to look forward to. It was exciting, and they're good too. Some of them aren't, but as a rule, they tend to be pretty damn good. Because Richard Matheson wrote most of them,
Yeah.
True, right. Even Killdozer wasn't terrible. I mean, it's cheesy, but I'll watch Killdozer over half of the freaking.
I love that movie.
Movies now. Yeah, it's okay. It's fun. These guys didn't like it so much, but I don't know.
No.
Give me a Dan Curtis movie where Richard Matheson wrote the script, and I am all over that shit.
Hell yeah. Anything with Matheson. Good God. Well, anyway.
You know what I love now? I love, Brandon, you created this. I think you call it the Wandaverse. I love everything. I love everything from that.
It just came to me.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yo, I fought for Jamie when I heard them say that on Shockwaves. I was like, wait a minute. And I love Becca, and she didn't mean anything by. She's just having fun. But she says, Wandaverse. And someone said, she said it, and someone else heard it. What'd you say, Wandaverse? And she goes, yes, Wandaverse. I'm coining the phrase. And as soon as that came out of her mouth, I said, fuck you, Shockwave. You're not coining shit. It's bad enough you fucking get 1,000 more downloads a fucking minute than we ever will. You're not coining shit.
And Ram Man, Abraham he jumped right in there. Like,
man, I love Ram.
He's like, no, you did not.
Awesome.
Oh yeah. Hey man, we got to take what we can get. We're the we're where we are. We got to get what's out there. If we said something good, and by we I mean all of us here, Horophilia, us as podcasters, especially Jamie, who's an OG. You come up with something, man. I want people to know you came up with it. That's the way it is, man. Shit.
That meant a lot to me, Dave. It really did.
Oh well, hey, I'm always here for you. That's the least I can do. Shit. But
probably is the least you can possibly do. Just being there. Just being there is literally the least you can do.
Son of a bitch. All right, we better get into these damn movies. We'll be here till the freaking sun comes up. So, tonight, the 3 movies we're doing are the Borderlands, a.k.a. What are you doing, Brandon?
Nothing.
The Borderlands.
He's queued up his next joke.
It's not a joke.
Fucking guy. You're as bad as Jeremy with that freaking thing, pressing the buttons and shit.
Oh, stop. We keep talking about how we want a soundboard.
I know we do, because we would do it right. You're right. And we're going to get a soundboard. Anyway, one step at a time. The Borderlands, a.k.a. The Final Prayer. We are talking about The Mutilator, and we are talking about Triangle. They all come from our patrons. And, we're very happy about it. 3 very different movies from 3...
Good.
Did you ever play the voicemail?
Oh!
No.
I was
you.
trying so hard to figure out how the hell these movies were linked, like what the hell they had in common. Lacey and I had this conversation, and I have no idea. I don't understand. But I guess if they're patron movies, then
that makes sense.
Correct.
That's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, let me play the voicemail. This is from our homie, Eric Webster from Dark Discussions. And we're going to play it. We're not going to talk much about it after because we're going to save that for another show. But he sent it, so I'm playing it because that's the rules around here. So here we go.
Sarah from Dark Discussions.
Oops, wait a minute.
I just wanted to say, hey guys, this is Sarah from Dark Discussions. I just wanted to send you my quick thoughts after your announcement about where the show is headed after episode 100. But first, I want to take a quick moment to say hi to Brandon, because he got all butthurt last time I sent in a voicemail that I didn't mention him by name. He thought I forgot about him. Brandon, buddy, I didn't forget about you. I do remember that we were supposed to do an episode of Horror Corridor together for Spanish horror, and I was really looking forward to it, and I was very disappointed when I found out that wasn't going to happen.
I'm pausing it. Everybody listening that has a podcast, do not invite Brandon on your show as a guest, because every time he's invited as a guest on a show, he fucking stiffs. Every fucking time, unless it's a 22 shots thing. And I have a feeling that's not going to happen again. So nobody invite Brandon on their show. I'm going to proceed.
Because I was looking forward to podcasting with you and Watson, and I was also looking forward to talking about some damn good movies. Look at the bright side. At least you got Watson on your show to talk about The Orphanage. He was so horrified about the thought of podcasting with me that he canceled his whole damn show. So you got that going for you. So I want you to look in the mirror, or if you can see yourself in your Skype window right now, look in your camera and say, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
He did it.
So, on my thoughts about your announcement, you guys said a lot of things that hit home for me, including the occasional urge to walk away. I understand that. I've been podcasting for almost 9 years at this point and have thought about it more than once. I also heard a lot of trepidation in your voices, and I understand you're afraid about listener backlash when they find out that they're going to have to pay for the show if they want to listen to it. But here's the thing. People don't understand what goes into a podcast. They listen to it for however long it runs. Most podcasts are like an hour. Your guys are extended length. And people don't understand that it's not just the length of the show, the time you're putting in. You also got to watch the movies to talk about. You also got to plan out your segments. You got to edit the damn thing and publish it. There's a lot more that goes into a podcast than its final runtime might indicate. And people who haven't podcasted don't get that. So, yeah, there will probably be some backlash. But here's the thing. I think that you'll have a bunch of people support you. I personally upped my patronage because I realized there were a couple of podcasts I was contributing to on Patreon that are doing just fine at this point, and you guys deserve my money more. So I redirected those funds to you because I think you're more deserving than I want to see your movie. So
I love this guy.
I also totally agree with what you guys were saying about social media. It's a cesspool. It really is. I would not be on Facebook at all anymore if it were not for podcasting, because that place is awful. So I totally get what you're saying there. So keep on going. I will support you. I want to see your movie, Exploding Heads Forever. Thanks, guys. Keep it up.
Wow. That should just be our ad.
Yeah. Right.
That was awesome.
I wanted to thank you guys for bringing me on the show while I could still listen to it. I appreciate that.
No problem.
We're doing it all month long. I'll guess now, because nobody's gonna want to guest after 100. What? I can't listen. Only 100 people are gonna hear it.
I think you guys have, you guys are really special, and I think, you guys are people are still gonna want to podcast and listen.
Oh. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, he's right in that there will be some backlash because, of course. But I really feel like your listeners are very loyal, and it's for good reason, because you're a fun show and you're very engaging, and I like shows that engage with their audience and who know their audience, and you do that, and that's a good thing. So hopefully, most of those people out there will think about it. And here's the thing, for anyone out there who is grumbling right now, you don't complain when you pay to go see a movie. All right. So a lot of you just don't go to the movies. I get that, but you're not supporting something that you probably end up liking. You'd rather, watch it illegally, and that's crap. You don't complain when you go to buy a cup of coffee that you want, or the fast food that you want, or the cigarettes that you smoke, or the weed that you smoke, or the booze that you drink, or the whatever it is that enhances your life. If you feel like this show enhances your life, then you really should have no issue contributing to that as well.
2 plugs for the price of one.
Amen.
Wow,
thank you. No, thank you. That was awesome.
I was reluctant.
Everything. Sorry, Dave. I didn't mean to talk over you there, but I think you summed it up. That was amazing.
It was amazing. And the thing is with Jamie, I've known Jamie for several years now, and we've had discussions of all types, and I know her general opinion on the whole Patreon thing. So I was actually a little bit reluctant to even play that, because I didn't, and I said I'm going to play it, and I'm not going to elaborate much because we're going to do that on show 99. Because I know her general stance on this, and I didn't even want to do it while she was here, but she's here.
It's my personal thing. It's a solely personal thing. It doesn't mean that I think it's wrong. It doesn't mean that I think it's not worth it. It's just and honestly, if I had started doing that back when Patreon first popped up, then I'd feel much differently about it. Now the thing is that I had already been doing this for so long before that even became an option, and then when it did become an option, it felt weird. And how we used to talk about there was this one particular podcast way back in the day who would charge you for specific shows, not every show. You didn't have to
just franchises,
show, but just for specific shows. Yep. And I just didn't really think it was worth it because of who particularly it was. But
So I'm with you.
I just and it's just a personal thing. It doesn't mean I think it's wrong. I don't. And honestly, I think that if anyone were to make that switch and be able to maintain their listeners, it's gonna be you guys, because that's how much your listeners love you, and there's a reason they stick around. So.
And you know, I think people were gonna follow suit. I really do. Other podcasts, I think they will.
Well, who knows? We're gonna write better jokes. We're gonna write them.
I mean, maybe we all should. Maybe everyone should be. Maybe everyone should be tired of doing the work. I mean, I guarantee you this: if I did go that route, my shows would come out more often because I would have incentive to do it.
Right.
You know. And if somebody was paying me for it, you damn straight I'd be doing it, you know, a lot more frequently. Right now, they kind of get tossed to the wayside because life happens and whatnot. And then I just, you know, they end up coming out very sporadically, and no one knows that more than Dave. But I really think, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's going to come to the point where all of us are just sick of putting in all the work and, you know, getting nothing in return. And it's not that I don't think we get nothing in return. I do it because I love it. And I feel like we do get a lot in return from our listeners. Like when people you know, write you letters or whatever, and that just means the world. Like it means so much to me. So it's not like I get nothing. It's just that it is a lot of work. And particularly as time goes on and production gets different and, you know, higher production values, you know, you start putting more and more time into it. A 2-hour show can really be like an 8-hour show. I don't know. But anyway, I'm sorry. I know you didn't even want to talk about that very long.
No, I don't regret it now because of what you said. And I feel much better because honestly, I can admit it that I was sheepish about making the video, but I know it had to be done. I feel a little sheepish about talking about it in the presence of other people who do podcasts more than anything because it's a little bit uncomfortable. But I would say that 80% of the feedback we've gotten from the listeners has been good, and probably 90 from the podcasters. So far, I'm sure some people are keeping their mouths shut because not everyone's weighed in, and why would they? But for the most part, it's been okay, and we expected some flack, and it is what it is. But wouldn't it be cool if everybody see? What's that?
We got a little bit flack.
Sorry,
we got a little bit. Is that one of the new jokes that we're gonna put on?
What, that I'm a little sheepish?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Anyway.
And if Lacey, if your show decides to go that route, you can call it "Cut a Check to the Chase."
Hey, that's actually really clever. The jokes are getting better, folks.
How about woo?
Yes. I don't think a lot of people will follow suit because honestly, if everybody who podcasts starts doing it, most of them, and I don't mean, it's hard for me to say this without sounding arrogant, and I'm not arrogant, but I think a lot of them wouldn't really get anything because they're just guys sitting on a mic talking. And
well, a lot of people don't put in the effort that you guys put in, or that, you know, Alex puts in. Alex, who is, in my opinion, one of the best producers ever.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever said that other than maybe to you, but yeah, you just have to listen to a show to realize it. When I saw some shitty review on iTunes saying the host insists on putting music in the back, I'm like, but it's actually balanced. It's not like it's drowning out the vocals, which so many podcasts do. They can't seem to balance the sound properly. Alex is a genius when it comes to that.
He is
trying to drown out your vocals, though, Christian.
I consider myself incredibly lucky to have been on a show that had such high production standards that, I mean, I really feel like he is the best in the business. And
sorry, Christian, we love you.
That's
those the jokes, folks. But I agree with Jamie, of course. I've been even more fortunate because I've had Alex. I have Wazelle, who was just amazing. I listened to, you know what I'm doing? I'm listening to all my old best of for the year, top 13, top 14. So whatever show I was on, you know why? Because I'm preparing for our top 100. So I'm going back and listening. Huh?
I love it. I'm going back and listening to myself.
Well, you know why? Because I want to remember what I said, and should I give it a second watch?
Depending on Christian, you know why? It's because he has the memory of a goldfish. He can't read.
Word.
It's true.
That I do. Yes. So I was listening to Banana Laser, and I'm like, man, some of the stuff Matt was
Man,
doing,
I was on
just,
that show.
wow.
You're like, damn, this Dave guy's list is exactly like mine.
If I can remember my list.
Oh, shit. So, yeah, Matt, Alex, Christian, Watson, and Jamie, who's only been doing it a short time, but she takes the time to do the music and the bumpers and things like that. Granted, it takes her a little time, but everybody's busy. And again, nobody's paying for it, so whenever it comes out, it comes out. There's never a rush, you know?
I don't know this. Maybe I should, Jamie, but I don't. Is Fright Night one of your favorite movies?
Not really. I do love it, but no, I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites. I just really love that music.
So do I. And so every time I hear it, it just makes me smile. And I always think because I think of the movie, and it's one of the ones that got me into horror as well. So that's why.
No, I do absolutely
cool.
love it. I do. I've always kind of Evil was always, that he's the outsider and the whatever. I love the fact that Charlie would watch the late night horror stuff, and I love the fact that Evil was this outsider kid. Like it felt real. Yeah. And I have always loved it, but I wouldn't say it's like in my top 10 or anything, but oh my God, do I love that song. So, that's why I use that. I just love the music and that the scene by the fireplace with Chris Sarandon and Amanda Bears. Yeah. But yeah.
I gotta watch that again. I've only seen it once. I need to watch it again though.
2011, wasn't it, or something like that? It might make his list for top 100 films of the decade.
And honestly, I wish I could make money enough to do it all the time because I absolutely would. I love production. I do. I love it, and I'm anal about it. But it's because I love it, and I wish I could do it constantly. That would be my dream right there.
I'd love everybody to be in the same room together because even over Skype, it drives me crazy that you'll hear little pops and stuff like that. But what can you do? That's the reality of
producer.
True. I will do better, everybody. Moving forward.
Now, Lacey, you do all the technical stuff on Cut to the Chase, right? I know Dan Chazelle doesn't do it, or am I wrong? Has he learned?
No, that's Dan. That's all Dan. He learned
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dan.
The first episode we did on our own was Wishmaster, and he had never seen that, so it's odd for him to have not seen a movie. And I remember I edited that episode. There wasn't much we didn't really do much with it, but after that we had Merriman put a couple songs in the beginning and end, but he did the Horror Hits episode, and that was a lot of editing, and he worked really hard on it. And, he's really become a really great, at producing a show. And I'm really proud of him. Yeah, he's come a long way, guys.
I'm proud of him, too, because I listened to that show, and that with the Horror Hits and all the stuff that went into it. Because, I've been involved in, I've written scripts. We've had so many elaborate freaking things, especially on Banana Laser. So I know what goes into it. And the fact that he did that, I just assumed it was you. I don't know why.
No, it was him.
Wow, my hat's off to him. That's props to Dan. I didn't think he would be such a producer, but wow. You never know.
He picked it up so quickly too. It was weird because, like I said, we used to have just Merriman put in a song at the beginning and a song at the end, but he will come through our entire episodes and take out pauses and because obviously
and like that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That was such a dick move on my part. I'm sorry.
Well,
Brandon's a heel.
I feel like he has to edit me because I drink quite a bit sometimes. So he makes me look a lot better, guys.
We should get into the movies, but there is one question that we haven't asked in a long time, and it's out for both of you to answer. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 or Rocky 4? What's your pick?
Rocky 4, no question.
Well, the first movie I ever seen was Rocky 5 in the theater. That was, and my parents made up.
That's not related at all.
I don't remember
the
Rocky
worst
4,
of all the Rockies you saw first.
It's not the worst.
That was the first movie that I remember seeing in the theater, and then the first horror movie was Child's Play 3. But yeah, no, I've never seen. I don't think I've seen Rocky 4, so I got to go with Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Cool.
With Ivan Drago, the giant Russian.
Yeah, no clue.
No clue.
You never know. See, Lacey, she is a
So
wild
you haven't
card.
seen Creed 2 either, then, eh?
Oh, I did. I did see Creed 2. I bought that for Dan's birthday last year.
That's like Rocky 4 Part 2.
Oh, was that okay?
Pretty much.
Kind of, yeah. Basically.
Sort of roundabout way, yeah.
I thought Creed 1 was better. I mean, they
So-
brought Bridget Nelson, was it? Flavor Flav's
Yep.
like, yeah.
She was in Rocky 4 as well.
Yeah,
She was
when she was
So-
young, beautiful.
1 vote for Nightmare 2, 1 vote for Rocky 4.
Okay.
So really, Jamie wins.
Sad.
Sorry,
I know.
Lucy.
What is this? But you never know. Lacey has seen all these comedies and everything else, and loves Chevy Chase. And my jaw dropped. You told me you'd never seen Caddyshack. Caddyshack. I can't believe it. That's the most shocking thing about Lacey Lou that I could think of.
Well, I almost
that
fell off
and-
my chair when Dan hadn't seen Heathers. I was
Right?
like, what
Same
the hell?
I haven't seen Heathers.
What's
Oh,
wrong
God.
with you?
I will.
Holy shit.
I plan to.
There's
That's
a lot
like
of
one
movies
of-
Dave hasn't seen though. I feel.
I plan to. That movie is 32 years old.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of movies. Like, I feel like we're honing in on me, but I guarantee there's a lot of movies that I've seen that you guys haven't. You
I
know?
agree. But that's why I'm shocked, because you see everything and you see a lot of comedies and you love Chevy Chase. So to me, it would seem like that's 100% in your wheelhouse. And that's like Chevy Chase is like probably his best film, that and like The First Vacation, in my opinion.
Well,
You know,
actually,
it's just
Dad,
Oh,
What's
I
that?
love all.
Where am I? You're in the records room. You want anything? How about a copy of the Beatles' White Album?
I don't get it.
That won't be
Well,
on the After 100, that joke.
well, you have to watch Caddyshack. And
Oh,
My Bloody
yeah.
Valentine she hasn't seen.
Hey,
Oh,
that's coming this year. I've seen the remake.
that's okay. Hey, listen, I
yeah.
saw Fright Night remake before the original.
Did you just
too.
golf? Did you just golf clap me?
No, I wasn't being condescending. I was really happy. I don't really do a
Oh, God.
because I got a speaker next to me. You know what I mean? So,
Fair enough.
Everyone
fair
needs to
enough.
watch more movies.
who does?
All of yous.
Fuck that. I want to watch less. Everybody's talking on their podcast. I'm gonna watch 300 this year. I'm the only guy that looks at my letterbox and says, you know what? I watched 250 last year, and that's too much. I vow to watch less movies this year. Damn it,
I don't like
I want to
that
live my
everyone-
life.
I don't like that everyone's getting all riled up and crazy behind Lacey's race to 500 this year. I did 1166 last year, and nobody said shit to me.
Well, no, this is a personal goal of mine that I've wanted to do since I was 19, and I've never done it. And, I broke it down as, you got to watch at least 42 movies a month in order to hit the goal. And right now I'm on pace. I'm at 47, I think. So in just the beginning of February. I don't know. I'm having fun with it. I mean, I'm going to be watching a lot of movies, probably Caddyshack.
Oh,
Yeah.
Should be on the list.
And I think the fun thing is, like, I ask people, what movies should I watch that, I might have not have seen. So I think, having people involved, that's why they're getting behind it.
No one ever asked me that.
This guy's a record breaker. He's a
He
record,
is.
and Guinness told him to fuck off.
Did you
Carlsberg,
actually
too.
ask Guinness?
I didn't contact Guinness because I didn't keep any, records of it. Other
Records.
than,
I didn't see records
letterbox.
of a movie.
I
believe you.
Guinness,
I
but he
imagine
called
there
the
had to
wrong
be some.
Guinness, and they're like, dude, we're drunk. We don't care.
Well, I gotta ask. So you watched? You said 1,166 movies.
1,166 different movies. That did not count any rewatches, which there were probably about another 40 rewatches in there.
That's crazy. So
All right.
what was the worst film you've seen last year?
Midsommar. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Midsommar.
I watched. I don't know why, but very early on, I watched a Snoop Dogg movie. I forgot. It was
Hood of Horror?
no.
It
It
was
was.
like
It was.
the
It was a
first mistake.
comedy. It was a comedy movie
Oh.
with him and another rapper, and just smoking weed. It was awful. I
Oh,
can't-
How
I think
high?
it's on Netflix.
Is it How High? Is he in
It
that one?
wasn't How High. I'm gonna have to.
I
look
never
it
watch
up.
any of them. You know me about rappers and movies.
But
I
it was
kinda-
just that bad, huh?
Atrocious.
That was like probably the least expected answer that I've ever,
Yeah.
anticipated. I don't know if I feel like it's anticlimactic in a sense or if it's, epically amazing answer. I just don't know how to feel about it.
I could tell you one of the best hidden gem movies that I discovered, and it's not a horror movie, but it's a movie called The Music Never Stopped.
It's a documentary.
The Music Never Stopped. It's with
documentary or no?
No, it's with J.K. Simmons and Lou Taylor Pucci.
Who?
Lou Taylor Pucci.
Okay.
Lou Taylor Pucci from the Evil Dead remake. The one who opens the book and reads it, even though it says don't read it.
Asshole. Oh, I can't stand him.
He's a great actor.
Character. No,
I mean, what I don't like about that movie? The MacGyver scene, Dave.
Oh, boy. Well, dude, it's true, though. Every podcast, when they talk about that remake, they go, oh, wow, that fucking defibrillator. And meanwhile, the guy, Ash does something that is impossible to do in part 2, sticks a chainsaw on his arm, and he's able, and nobody gives a fuck. They blow that movie like it's a fucking John Holmes. I don't understand, It's like nostalgia. And I love nostalgia. I'm an 80s kid and 70s and all that other shit. And I think Reanimator's a 10 out of 10. And my jaw dropped when Lacey gave it a 7 out of 10 or whatever the hell she did. So I love nostalgia.
What do you mean?
Good for you, Lacey. Good for you.
I thought that was a high rating. I gave it like a 3.5 out of 5.
Good for you.
I know, but I'm just.
That's why you call me the Jason Lloyd. Based off the Reanimator. Now I know. Okay.
Many movies. That's a drop in the bucket, Lacey. That's just.
You know what? I like good movies too. Like.
I know you do. That's the first thing I said about you. A lot of times she loves what I love, and then sometimes she loves what I don't love, and then sometimes things I love she really hates. And I'm like,
I found the movie.
And any other combination of that you can think of.
Right.
I found the movie, Lacey.
Yeah,
Mac and Devin Go to High School, starring Snoop Dogg and Wiz Khalifa. I don't know why I watched it. I think I watched it. It was probably on Netflix. I think I watched it at work on Netflix.
Wow.
Mac and Devin Go to High School.
Oh, wow.
With
Never
Snoop
heard
Dogg and Wiz Khalifa.
The title.
You were really like scraping the bottom there. Like that's what you picked for your movies?
It was early on in the year too. I was at work and I just wanted something quick and like mindless to watch while I'm at work.
No, I get you on that though. Because I'm tracking all my watches and Alex Edwards comments and he was just like, because it was like a girly pick. He was just like, how did I know this was your post?
Oh, I saw that post too. I was like, what the heck is this movie?
What was it?
It
made
the cover of Teen Witch look like a horror movie.
But hey, Teen Witch is great.
I love Teen Witch. Got my girl.
Did you know that's Blake Lively's sister?
We're not reviewing movies tonight, Christian. Don't worry.
No. The problem is, I know we got to get to it, but I want to keep asking questions because I love the fact we got other people. I know we're a horror podcast, but I almost want to know what their favorite non-horror film was of last year.
I brought up a non-horror film 2 minutes ago, and you yelled at me.
Yeah.
Mine was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes. And mine is Endgame.
Yes.
And mine is. My problem is it's the Joker. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. My wife, Jojo Rabbit is up there. I can't pick.
Joker was excellent too.
I can't wait to see those movies.
Two Popes was phenomenal.
1917
is that worth a watch?
I thought it was phenomenal, and I'm
Jewish. Sorry, which one?
The Two Popes.
Two Popes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should put that on the box cover.
Yeah,
right?
That should be. Yeah.
I thought
fantastic.
It was phenomenal, and I'm Jewish.
I haven't checked that out. That would be fantastic, and I totally steamrolled over you.
Story was really good.
I keep hearing that, and I want to see it, but typically, if I'm going to watch something, that means Brian's going to watch it too, and that's a hard sell.
Did you say Marriage Story?
Yeah.
Okay, it is good, but I don't know. I wanted it to be more like ruthless, I guess.
I think it was more true to life than, but I understand what you're saying because it's very kind of. I mean,
well,
it doesn't get brutal.
I felt like it was a PG version of what actually does happen in divorce, of being somebody that's went through it.
Yeah, but not every divorce is like that, though.
Yeah, and I get that, but there were just moments where it's relatable and where it really goes there. And then at other times, it's just kind of, it's like they wanted to go there and they just didn't. Like, I feel like it was almost censored in a sense.
Okay.
But I mean, it was well done.
Yeah.
It just I just don't think it was maybe as Oscar worthy as some other films that got snubbed. Like, I loved Uncut Gems.
Yeah,
still have to see that. I'm looking forward to that.
Jinx.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. I highly recommend that one.
Brandon's an Uncut Gem.
That was I'm a cut gem. What are you talking about?
I was going to say, he just told you he's Jewish.
And I'm like, yeah, I am an uncut. Wait a minute.
You went with the joke.
I have to check now.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, next January, I'll check out most of those titles.
This guy is so.
Oh, it's true.
This guy is so. Can't you take one weekend and just watch a non-horror movie?
No, that's what January's for.
That's what.
But this January I can't because everything I'm watching are the 210 movies, 210 decade. So I can make my top 100, which 1 month from now they all have to be in. So make sure everybody's cracking on.
That's how crazy this is. I actually told Dave, I think it was a week ago. I said, watch this movie. It was a horror movie from 2019. He's like, no, I'm only watching movies from the 2010s.
Nope, that's it.
I'm like, it is the 2010s. And you're like, oh, yeah.
Do you guys have your list done?
No, I have like 6 or 7 more I got to put on there. So now I got to now it's crunch time.
I have to whittle down. I have like 110 on my list.
I only have 37. Like,
wow.
What does that tell you? Yeah,
that's
where I'm at.
500 movies, Lacey. Make sure 100 of them in the next 30 days. 2010.
No, I'll have
Invitation.
My top 100, but I mean, I just feel like those were like my top 37. That's where I'm at. So now I
haven't even started yet.
Madonna, really, it's all I've been doing for the past 3 months.
I've always been a procrastinator when it comes to schoolwork.
I feel like this list might be better served as a last-minute list, though. Because I'm driving myself crazy, and I feel like it's still not going to be a true list.
Yeah.
Oh, your number 99 is going to go to your number 1 by the end of it.
So everybody's going to be sending you their
list. His list is an Ouroboros.
So not every movie's going to make the top 100, though, right? Like what everybody sends. Like it's going to just be
the same
one
100 movies.
Yeah, I'll be calculating the points and making the official top 100. These guys are very thrilled that I'm doing it.
Doing the math.
He volunteered last show. I'm like, wow.
How many different lists are there? How many people?
It's got to be. I guess it's got to be around 15 different lists, 20 different lists coming in.
At least 30, and then with all the new pages.
Look at his face.
You volunteered.
Dude,
no take-backs
alone, we have at least between 20 and 25 that I can think of.
I'm actually looking forward to it now, even more.
Do you guys have a prediction on what the number 1 film is going to be?
I have a prediction on what my number 1 is, but that's about it.
I have a prediction, yeah.
I do too.
Yeah, I do too.
It's my number 1, but I predict it's going to be Hereditary.
I know.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Really? You think that's what's going to be the number 1?
I do.
Yeah, I think so too. That's a good choice.
Not my number 1, but I have a feeling it's going to be there.
Yeah. I have a feeling my number 1 won't even make the top 1.
Dave, I wonder what your number 1 is.
Well, everybody knows my number 1. Shit. And my number 2 now, probably, based on
that. We know you're 1 and 2.
It's true. It's sorry, but it is what it is.
That's exciting, though. Like, I'd be like, I'm curious to know what everybody's number 1 is. Like, you should at least read everybody's number 1.
Yeah, you know what? That's actually a good idea. I can definitely do that. That's an excellent idea.
Well, think about it.
Okay.
Actually, wait.
Jokes are just getting funnier, Christian.
You drink it?
I was going to say, the more she drinks, the funnier you get.
Hey, I drank last night. I'm not drinking right now. It's a little early.
That's true. That's true.
You guys are earlier there. All right, let's do it.
Let's review a movie.
Okay.
Wrangle it in.
Okay. Let's review a movie. Now, first, does anybody need a break? No? Speak
Anybody?
now? Okay,
we'll do.
After each review, we'll ask if anybody needs a break, but we can go into our first one now. So, B, take it away.
All right, we're going to start. Well, I guess we'll go in year order. And we'll start with 1984's The Mutilator, directed by Buddy Cooper and John Douglas, a teenager who accidentally commits matricide, finds himself being hunted together with his girlfriend and mates by his now crazed father. And I think we should start up with a sing-along.
Yes!
Bring a hint of the cold time to get away. We'll pack the car with escape in
No one's
mind.
singing.
Forgetting out classes, leaving books behind. Time to get away.
Here we go.
Empty cottage sitting on the shore. Tourists all left about a month before, and we're gonna have a good time. Gonna have a good time. We're
Gonna have
Ball break.
You know the end is here when they talk about a fall break.
Actually, this song is 3.5 minutes long.
It reminds me of like a song that playing like
And the
National
movie
Lampoon's
felt
Vacation.
it was important that we heard every bar.
Yeah, twice.
Of every song they played, we had to hear every bit of it.
Lacey's ears perked up when you said bar. Not that kind of bar, Lacey.
What do you mean? Like, you can't even see me.
I'm
sober right now, you
I
fucks.
know.
Which is rare. It's rare. You get sober, Lacey. This is a rare occasion.
Nice.
Lacey,
It's like Watson.
have you ever cleaned your father's guns as a birthday gift to him?
If I knew my dad, I would. No.
Oh,
I do know my dad.
Oh,
I
okay.
gotta
Oh my
research
God.
this shit.
I'm sweating. I almost started sweating profusely. Like, Jesus.
No, I do know my dad. Unfortunately. No, I love it. No.
Oh, wow.
No, this was like a fun plot point though. Like in my notes, like I said the son was just trying to help his dad out.
Poor
What?
bastard. Yeah, what happened to me?
It was a nice gesture.
I thought so. Like, I mean, like, I feel like it's the dad's fucking fault though. You know, like I think he
should be loaded.
blamed.
It shouldn't be loaded, and cleaning the gun should have nothing to do with the kid checking the sight line after. Like, why is he checking the sight line and aiming it at the door?
Right? Like, well, like I clean these just for you. Like, I love that the sign, like he put up a sign.
And let it take 20 years for the father to go insane. Like, I know he's not quite there right after because he's feeding his wife the whiskey.
Oh, yeah, that's
Dead
right.
body.
He's pouring it in her mouth.
But then he's
Well, I
doing
have
it for 20 years.
Yeah, and
I
he puts the
hope
birthday
that-
sign on her. He puts
You know,
the birthday
I would appreciate that sentiment if, like, you know, I died. Like, I hope Dan pours one last one in my mouth. Like,
Last one on what?
that came out wrong. Never mind.
Awesome.
Oh, edit that out.
As long as it doesn't go in wrong.
So he's insane for a split second, but then it seems like he raised his kid okay. And then one week just decides he's insane again.
He's insane from the start. Who has a framed picture of the man you killed with your ski boats?
That was from Sleepaway Camp.
You know what's
Kind of
weird?
have that
God.
feel. A sleepaway camp feel. It did. It was. What was this? 84?
84.
Yeah.
This was the time. And this movie lacked something, and it should have been a twist. Wouldn't have been cool because this kid seems so normal. This kid,
Yeah,
I knew someone was gonna say that. This kid seems so normal, like too normal. Real happy, social, nice girl, everything, nice group of friends. You like all the kids for the most part. Everything's so normal with him. In normal
so it was
slashers
his
in the
son?
80s.
Yeah,
What do you mean?
Big Ed and Little Ed, the son.
Yeah.
He never talks about his dad. He says his dad's a little off, and he tries to help him, but he's not insane.
Well, no. There's a scene where, like, it shows where he cuts the kid's throat. Did that not really happen?
That was
That
his
was it.
fantasy.
That was him dreaming, the father dreaming, and while he's sleeping in the garage.
Yeah.
No. Like, I thought that really
Yeah, 'cause-
happened.
You
Every
should
time
probably.
killed somebody, he had to take a nap. You know.
Yeah,
Well, 'cause
Yeah, he
Is
could
that
go
what
back
What
and
happens
take a
when you take notes and not pause the movie? See?
Lacey, you should probably go back and rewatch The Mutilator along with Lake Mungo.
I watched this one and I took notes. I said I didn't know if one was the son. That was a note.
Lacey, that's something I would do. That's something I would do. So I
Lacey
can't
is
even...
now the Dave Z.
Yeah, maybe she is. Yeah.
Okay,
I
I'm
mean,
Dave
he
Z.
says-
I'm just
he
Lloyd.
says, my dad, like, a lot.
Yeah, my dad was hunting. My dad was in this contest against the wall. There's these things on the wall. My dad
wants me to go clean up or do some work around the house.
He's not an absentee father. He's been there. They've had like together time all those years, and then he just goes insane when they come to the house.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well,
I can't like slasher movies where the killer doesn't wear a mask. I've come to that conclusion.
I know.
He drank a lot, though. Did you see how much alcohol was on the table? It looked like Lacey Lou's apartment there.
Poor Lacey.
I know.
You should see my face right now.
Oh.
You know what? I'm about to go do a shot.
No.
But you started.
I'm drinking honey nipple tea. Like, fuck you.
The best type.
I like the characters, though. I know they're not great actors by any means, but I kind of like the characters.
Yes. And you don't always like them in slashers in the 80s.
They are likable people. They're not like a bunch of fucktards.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not
like,
to
you
both.
cared when they died.
Exactly. The only thing that kind of annoyed me was this Mike character, that he got scared by the rubber suit twice. Like, twice? Really?
All right, who else thinks that the blonde guy, his voice is not at all what I expected to come out of that body?
Yeah.
And even though I have seen this movie numerous times, and every single time I watch it, when he starts talking, I'm like, whoa. Like, it looks like bad ADR because it just doesn't fit him at all. To me, I just don't think it fits. You know, I expect
it is ADR.
Well, I mean, don't they ADR their own voices? Like, isn't that really his voice, though?
I've always thought that. I don't mean to switch gears, but Frank in Hellraiser. That's always what I thought of when I heard Frank.
I don't disagree. I do not disagree.
So, I don't know. Usually, they might ADR their voice, except if they have a horrible voice, then they'll get somebody else. But
who hires an actor with a horrible voice?
An actor with a horrible voice?
Well, it happens a lot when they have accents. You know, they'll hire the actor, but his accent's too thick, so they'll overdub it with someone else.
Yeah, maybe he was German.
Good.
Yeah.
He was the first one to go, right?
Yeah, let's go for a swim. He was the second one to go because he didn't notice that the killer got undressed, snuck into the pool, drowned his girlfriend, pulled her out.
Carried her across the floor.
How did the girl not hear him swishing around in the fucking pool?
Not only that, then he dragged her and made a trail of clothes all the way back to the condo.
Well, those clothes come... like, the clothes were a big plot point in this movie. Like, they lasted, like, I mean, it comes back, I mean, they're just touching the underwear so casually. Like, I don't know, if I seen, like, a piece of underwear, like, I probably wouldn't be like, like, I mean, I don't know, like, it was weird, like, that they're just handling this pair of underwear so casually. I don't know, it was kind of gross.
We're talking about characters that can't seem to find people in daylight. I mean, I know it's nighttime, but that hide and seek scene or whatever they call it in the movie.
Man's bluff.
Blind man's bluff. There's nothing blind about it. You can see, she's hiding behind the cooler.
They're like, I can't see with all this light streaming through the windows.
And they're under the table, and they're like, how did you know? Process of elimination.
I see you.
The killer walks right by them.
Yeah, she almost grabs the leg.
Yeah.
Or Ralph does.
I want to play hide and seek as an adult.
Oh, so do I.
Yeah, I want to play Blind Man's Bluff.
Me too.
Yeah, get the beer involved.
Did they? I'm jumping all over the place, but did they actually mention why she doesn't want to sleep with him?
Oh, because she's got to stick up her butt. She was so nasty the whole movie.
She was a frigid little. I don't know. I didn't like her.
Yeah, I didn't like her either. Pam's my least favorite character in the movie.
They were so cute together in the beginning, like when they first got there, and then he's like, you know, I think they were in the pool, or where were they? There was some place where he like pulled her in. He's like, come here, you know, and then she was like leaning on his chest, and they were laughing and talking. And I even turned to Brian, and I was like, what a sweet couple. And then like 15 minutes later, I'm like, what a bitch. You know, I just didn't like her.
She's making a chore chart. She's telling everyone what to do. She's beating up Ralph. It's like, chill out, lady.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I didn't mind her, actually, surprisingly. I thought that she didn't want to screw him there.
She even tried to make him drive when his femoral artery was severed at the end.
That kills me. She puts him in the car, and he's like, "You're gonna have to drive." And I'm like, "He had to tell you that?"
Yeah, he's bleeding out like a sieve.
Oh man. Yeah.
The gore is good.
Oh, it's
That's
the
great.
deaths are fun. Yeah, like
They
that
get-
rake death.
Oh, I
mean,
loved it.
Like, I feel like he deserved it for handling that underwear so casually. Well, I mean, he was good. Well, let's back it up just a minute, though. Like, he takes a nail, and he's like, need to make sure you guys are safe. And, like, he was gonna literally lock them in. Yes.
Why? What was that?
Like, I would have never even thought to that. And, like, if they are hooking up, like, what friend is gonna disturb that? Like, I mean, you just found her underwear. Why are you opening the door? Like, he deserved to fucking die.
I agree.
Any other movie, he would have sniffed it, moved on. Not this one.
No, he wanted to see. He wanted to see.
He needed it.
Usually that's a sign to get the fuck out. If you go in, if you're partying with friends and you go and you know that these two people are behind the door and you see underwear on the floor, you know, unless it's a real freaky girl, you could either A, go in, or B, turn around and walk out the room.
Well,
and
she
usually
must watch horror movies.
You watch horror movies? I'm coming in.
That's it. You know she's a freak. You know it. Yep.
Especially if she has a copy of Suspiria on her shelf.
Oh boy, that makes her an automatic horror fan, folks. Oh, awesome. I'll tell you what. The thing with it's very Friday the 13th, part 2 and part 3, the stealing of the clothes, and the thing that I pointed out when we looked at part 3, how did Vera not know that Shelley got into that water? It's the exact same thing with the pool deck in those kids. See, it always goes back to Friday the 13th.
Always bringing up Shelley. I had a feeling Shelley was going to come up with Ralph in this one. I had a feeling we were going to do a Shelley Ralph. Ralph isn't that bad.
No, he's not. Oh, what about the 6-pack joke? Did you guys get that thing when they went into the thing and he says, if you lower the 10%, give me the senior discount, I'll buy 2 6-packs. And the guy said, sure, okay. And then they leave, and then the lady goes to the guy in the store and says, ha, ha. She goes, what did she say? She goes, talking themselves into buying 2 6-packs. What did that mean?
Instead of 1.
Yeah,
what does that mean?
She was the best actor in the movie.
Because
why are they only buying 12 beers for like 5 people? Like
6 people.
I mean,
looked at the camera right after.
That's pregame for Lacey.
Right? Like I do that in like an hour, like to myself.
I think what they probably did was marked up the beer and then just put it on sale.
Yeah, I mean, because their discount is really nothing.
Yeah.
It's, by the time they mark it back down, they're still making money. So now they've done this, and now they've sold an extra one. So they're making more money.
But how did they know?
Maybe the beer was going bad.
Was going to do that? How did they know that the college kid was going to say, hey, I'll make you a deal and I'm going to pretend to be a senior citizen? When would that happen?
It's a bad joke because they have a big sign there and everything like that.
Yeah, it's a very bad joke. I think maybe they just happen to live where all the college kids are cheap as fuck and they all try to get a discount.
Well, yeah,
maybe they're Jewish college.
I mean, they're only going to get 2 beers apiece. Fuck them.
Right? They're college kids. 2 beers apiece.
Like, I don't want to party with these people. Like, they're too weak.
Yeah.
That's all you guys are focusing on, not the fact that after he can't even finish delivering his line, and he's like looking at the camera like, eh? How'd I do, buddy? Can I get the line down, buddy?
Buddy Cooper.
How about the guy said, I got a bad feeling about this, like it was a Star Wars movie? I like that. That's what the kid said in the bar. Oh, are you serious? You didn't notice that? Man. I
think Buddy Cooper sounds like a sitcom sidekick.
Yes.
It sounds like, a child's play doll.
Not Ralph Macchio. Buddy. What the hell was that guy's name? Jamie.
What?
Charles and
Buddy.
His name
Buddy
was
and
Buddy.
Charles in Charge. Yeah.
That was him, Buddy Cooper. Okay, well, see.
Well, I mean, his last name wasn't Cooper, but
should have been
something.
It fits right in. Okay, all right, Buddy Cooper. Awesome. And I don't get when the guy gets the phone call in the bar. They say, "Hey, you have a phone call, right?" And then he goes and he gets the phone, and then he comes back and he says, "I have a message to call a payphone to talk to my dad."
Yeah,
how does that make any sense? Like, so somebody else called that bar, asked for the son, and I said, "Hey, your dad wants you to call him at this payphone."
First of all, he never even redialed the phone, and he's yelling "Dad" on the phone anyway, like 2 seconds later. So it really didn't make much sense.
Well, so did the dad use his dime to call someone so that someone could call the bar and give the message to his son to call him back? Why didn't he just call the bar?
Right. That's I don't get it.
And just again, why is the dad crazy?
Yeah.
He ran out of beer because they always party, they always hunt. It was just, maybe it was the 20th anniversary of when it happened.
You're right, though. It should have been either a twist or the son was in on it.
Right. His son would be on AARP now. Like, it wasn't, because he wasn't like he was a toddler when he shot his mother. He was, what, 10, 8, 9? How old do you think he was?
Right, yeah, something like that,
So,
sure.
like, if it was the 20, he'd be almost 30. He wouldn't be in college.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Well,
so it's 10 years.
Yeah, it could be.
True.
It's the 10-year, they should have made that the thing, or it should have been a twist, and the kid ended up being the killer. That's what you would suspect.
That's the twist.
Bringing the family there to help the dad cope with it by killing them off, like he's in on it, or they could have played on the fact like the dad just starts killing them, and he doesn't even know who's there. So then I thought maybe did he realize it's his son? But he knows he's just killing.
Yeah,
no?
actually, that's a good point because he's so inebriated. You could see how much he's been drinking. He passed out, obviously, in the garage, and he starts having these nightmares. Maybe he wakes up, he forgets he even asked his son to lock up. He hears that. It just triggers something.
Sounds like a typical Saturday for me.
Maybe the whole dad thing and that the beginning story could be a red herring, and it turns out to be a completely unrelated killer that has nothing to do with anything. He's just psycho.
This kind of reminded me of Maniac Cop, or is it Maniac Cop or Psycho? Do you know Part 2? Maniac Cop 2?
Maniac Psycho Cop 2?
I think,
Maniac
do you
Farmer
know
2?
what movie I'm talking about?
Well, there's Maniac Cop and there's Psycho Cop.
Maniac
There's American
Cop.
Psycho 2.
Part 2. I'm talking about Part 2 specifically, though.
Oh,
That one's awesome. That's the action one that Dave hates.
Christian loves it, yeah.
That's a good one.
So why is it like Maniac Cop 2? What happens in that one? Because, I forgot.
Well, I mean, I guess, the deaths in that, I don't know it, that well. Obviously, I didn't even know the title of the damn movie. But, I don't know, it reminded me of that as I was watching. I was like, I feel like I might have seen this before, but I've never seen that before.
I think you're thinking Psycho Cop because Maniac Cop's a little bit more action-centric. It takes place in a jail at one point and whatever, and Psycho Cop is more...
I can't remember Psycho
which
Cop.
one is the one that in the apartment building?
That's Psycho Cop 2.
Okay,
Wow.
then that's
Blood Rage.
Okay.
It is kind of like Blood Rage. And there you go. That's why this movie and Blood Rage both made my top 50 slashers, because what they get right is what I wish every slasher did, and they had good, gory kills. That is the answer. That is what's great about this movie. Straight up. Everything besides the kills, maybe not, but not terrible. How many times have you watched an 80s slasher where it was kind of boring and it went on and then the kills happened and they were cut away or they were nothing? Like, well, that sucks. You got to have something. This at least had great kills. It's probably like, I don't know, if you look at all the slashers that aren't franchised, it's probably top 10 as far as the quality of the kills.
There's not a weak kill in there.
Or the
drowning.
Yeah.
And that was a mistake.
Do you guys like the movie Zero Boys?
I like Zero Boys, yeah.
I've never seen it.
I don't think Dave would like it. It's a little bit more
next January.
Action-y.
Next January, baby. It's a next Jan. Yep.
I like Zero Boys.
Well, the only problem I have with that movie is it has no resolution, or it just cuts off out of nowhere.
Well, it's got a downbeat ending because there's still something going on at the end. Sorry, Dave. I almost spoiled.
Something going on? I can live with that. That's okay.
Something going on.
Something going on at the end. I like that. I'm intrigued.
I was about to spoil. I'm like, wait. We won't remember by next January anyway.
No, I won't remember. I've never seen any movie with zero in the title, if I think about it. Zero, less than zero I've never seen. I've never seen Zero Dark 30. I've never seen Zero Boys.
Oh.
Maybe
next
one day.
January.
All three.
Yeah.
Zero trilogy.
We'll do a Zero trilogy. Yeah. Zero My Hero.
Have you ever seen Hackers?
Oh, wait a minute. Is Angelina Jolie in that one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Then I've
Hack
seen
the
it.
Planet.
His hacker name was Zero Cool.
Yes.
Oh.
I was really wondering how that was going to tie back in, to be honest. I was disappointed.
Oh. I thought it was quite impressive.
It was. It shows my knowledge of movies, just because Christian doesn't get it. All right. So Mike's death. What was it? Was he killed with a lawnmower or a saw? And that facial expression, they stayed on him for the longest time. It was actually hilarious.
The blonde-haired kid?
Yeah, the blonde-haired guy.
His scream just it lasted for so long. I think it might be the longest scream I've heard in a death in a movie ever.
Yeah, it went on too long. But it was funny.
It was.
Those kills were great. The machete or whatever, the axe to the face for the cop, followed by the decapitation.
Fucking saws. Axes, beheadings, pitchforks, fucking giant hooks. Although I will say...
Are you reading the poster?
It's
a great poster.
I have it. Well, and see, I had to change positions, but it's too bad I had it in the frame before. But here's what I think, especially since you guys hated the Virgin, it should have been switched. She should have been the one that got the hook in the holiest of holies instead. That would have been like...
that one made me cringe. That death made me cringe.
That was kind of hardcore. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like she deserved it though, because haven't you guys noticed in any movie where any girl comes in saying, "I'm scared," she deserves to fucking die. I'm sorry.
She kind of deserved to die because half the people are missing. They're ready to leave, and she's like, "No, let's do one more looky-loo." Sorry, Lacey.
Looky-loo.
If it was my boyfriend, I would want to look for him too. I get that. But what kills me is they thought the house had been broken into once already, and then they're like, fuck it, who cares? Don't lock the doors, or let's go out. And when they went to walk on the beach, they just left the door wide open as they walk out on the beach. I'm like, assholes, you already thought the house had been broken into. Why don't you try to be a little more careful?
JD, I think you were alluding to this earlier. If they didn't see the dad in the opening scene, like his face, they could have played off of it, and they found the dad dead, so we think it's him killing around. Then he's dead, and it is some just random killer. Something they needed something else to help.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the dad got killed.
Yeah, that would have been great.
The guy, he set it up, and by the time he got there, the dad and all his hunting, fishing, drinking buddies are all dead. Yeah. And there's he finds him in a room or some shit, like Jason style. That'd be cool. See?
Maybe he did it because he really was going to plan on killing his wife, and, maybe that's why.
He got mad that the kid did it instead of him?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Son, I'm going to raise you for the next 10 years, and then you're going to get it.
I think this was just the moment that he finally snapped. I'm not even looking too far into it, but what they needed to do when they're playing the blind man's bluff game is that's when they need to give a sense of danger to these characters. I think that's when you could have used the girl who was drowned's body as maybe pinned up in the house or something, and they discover it then. Instead of feeling the girl Sue's face, they feel the dead girl's face, and that's when there's a sense of urgency, and that's when it creates attention, because they kind of feel safe. So the last...
no one even died during the game, and that is a complete misuse of a game where people are walking around in the dark.
Yeah.
It's not dark, but it's supposed to be dark. And I was like, you think you watch that and you're like, okay, somebody's going to die. And so I said this last night. I'm like, nobody's even died during the game. And Brian turns to me and he goes, baby, this movie subverts expectations. I guess that's
somebody should be in that cooler, not behind that cooler.
Yeah, we watched the whole game, like the softball game in Sleepaway Camp. It would have been hilarious if the guy looking for them somehow starts going, and they're like, what the hell is he doing? He comes in, he has no eyes. Like the killer actually came out and took his eyes. Huh? Blind man's bluff?
Great. Yes,
blind man's. He could literally have a blind man. Oh,
wow.
That would have worked.
Let's remake it. There's our movie. Let's rewrite it as we speak.
Let's do it, Sweetmeats. What do you say?
Sweetmeats?
Did you hear that guy called his girlfriend Sweetmeats?
Sweetmeats? Really?
Yeah, it's a line in the movie. It was a nickname for his girlfriend, Sweetmeats. Yeah. I kid you not.
That sounds wrong on so many levels.
If Brian or
Calling
Grant
Chrissy
used
your
that term, if Brian called you Sweetmeats, Jamie,
Yeah.
what happens?
Even downstairs.
I was saying sweetmeats. It's what's for dinner.
Hey, that's a good hook line for a commercial.
Somebody should have been in that cooler. A head belonged in that cooler. They showed that cooler. You thought for sure something's going to be in that
I
cooler.
thought she was going to hide in the cooler. I seriously did. When she pulled it down off the refrigerator, I'm like, you're going to try to put your whole self in there? What are you doing?
Did you just put the
Like,
lid
no,
up?
I'm just going to hide behind it.
You're right. That the drowned girl's head should have been on ice. Like your house.
I mean, I like your guys' idea better about having the dad being killed and having a twist killer. That would have elevated this movie even higher. Well, higher. Not even higher. Higher. But
yeah, a twist would have been nice. Hey, now I'm going to ask a question about a certain cardboard person that was seen in this movie. And Jamie specifically, you may remember this. You guys all may. I don't know when it went out of circulation, but did you notice the Gold Rush guy in the freaking by the pool scene? When they went to that there was a part, and you see that guy with the beard, the cardboard cutout guy, and he was the Gold Rush guy. Remember that? Those Gold Rush candies that with the you know what I'm talking about, that little sack with the gold nuggets inside. It was gum. Gold Rush.
Yeah, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I didn't even see that.
Yeah, I couldn't believe he was on the screen. I go, that's the Gold Rush guy.
The third time he gets scared in the movie. He gets scared of the rubber's pants twice, and he gets scared of the Gold Rush guy. It's the blonde guy who gets killed. He's creating his own jump scares throughout this whole movie.
He's worse than a cat. What the fuck? Wow. Yeah, the Gold Rush. I can't
find the guy.
You can't find the Gold Rush guy? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it wasn't called Gold Rush, but maybe it was candies.
Maybe it was the Shark Bites guy.
No, Shark Bites are great, man. Shit.
Yeah.
Oh, they were.
I love when Dave brings up candy that
he
automatically sparks a memory.
Shark Bite. It's not candy. They're fruit snacks. Shark Bites, Fruit Wrinkles. I mean, that shit was the bomb. Remember when they used to have the yogurt on the Fun Fruits, Jamie? Remember those things? Oh, they were so fucking great. I'm telling you, guys you'll never know. Gold Rush. That's it, but that's like an older version. That's a girl. The one that we had, when you would go to the store to get it, they would have all these little bags, like little satchels, and the Gold Rush was in the bags, and the display that it was in was like a cardboard display, and there was like a Gold Rush guy like on top of that cardboard display.
Yeah, like a 49er.
Yeah, a minor. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
You can't remember the details of a movie you watched last week, but you remember the fucking Gold Rush guy from your childhood.
I remember.
I love it when it comes to candy.
And apparently he's underage.
You just got really high tech. Can we just like back up for a second? Like I'm still like he popped up the Gold Rush. like why are we not discussing this? Like I'm just like blown away that this just became like a really like interesting.
Yeah, how did you pop it up like that?
Video. See, this is why patrons should be here.
Dragged image over to my desktop and into the chat.
Yeah, but why did it pop up?
Can you do it again, please?
He sent
it. I
need
need to.
No, I know he sent it to us, but it popped up before. Usually
now
you have
pull
to
up
go
the
to
right one. See,
yeah.
See,
like,
here's
have you guys
question.
done this before?
All the time, but I don't know if the patrons see this or not because I never watched their videos back. But do they see? Will the patrons see that guy or that girl pop up?
I'll have to check next time. I don't even know.
I'm curious because if so,
I'm just like so blown away right now. Like I'm like I've been podcasting all wrong. That's a great little use.
Some people have soundboard. We have a video board. You know, you want to watch it?
That's fucking awesome.
There it is.
That is epic.
And none of those characters are in the movie.
I just do that. See, I just hold shit up to the screen like that. That's the best.
I'm still like blown away. Like I feel like I should be like more advanced.
Hilarious.
I want to find the real Gold Rush guy though, man, because it's pissing me off. Why is there
I
a
thought
girl?
that was.
No, it's a guy. Oh, there he is. Wait a minute. I think I got him. Gold Rush. Hold on. I think I have him. No, that's a young guy. That's Gold Mine. Either way, you see that guy there? It's something like that, except the Gold Rush guy had a long beard.
Get it a little closer. See if you can get it through to me like Ghost Dad. See if you can Ghost Dad it to me.
Oh, come on. Maybe they're Gold Mine.
Ghost Dad? I guarantee the answer is no.
What, Ghost Dad?
one of Bill Cosby's movies.
Lacey has definitely seen Ghost Dad.
I own Ghost Dad.
Yes, I mean Lacey is totally a Ghost Dad person.
Yeah, like isn't it sad about Bill Cosby though? Like I was thinking about that the other day. We probably don't want to get too into it, but it's like sad. It's really sad.
He was never known as a nice person, so I'm not.
He was nice to me. He was the guy that was on Van Albert.
Ghost Dad.
You know what he was to me? He was the guy on Fan Albert, and then he was Bill Cosby from the Cosby Show, and then I forgot about this. He used to be on Picture Pages, and I don't know who's
Picture Pages.
Yeah.
The fun
with Picture Pages. Time to get your pads and your pencils.
Yeah, that was great.
Remember that guy?
What was his name? Malachi or something?
Malachi. Yeah. He's from Mordecai. Malachi, he's from Iowa. He walks behind the road.
Hey.
He wants you too, Malachi.
Yeah, Mordecai, I think his name was. He was the guy, he grabbed him, and he went, I even bought that thing, and it made the noise.
I love Picture Pages. I love Brain Games. Remember Brain Games?
Oh, yeah, on HBO?
Oh.
I love that. There was only like 4 episodes of it.
Remember the alligator would bite the hand with the guy dealing the cards and be like, when's the next bus to Texas?
Oh.
You know, nobody.
You know what I never understood? I never understood the Cosby Show. It's called the Cosby Show, but his name isn't even Cosby.
Yeah, it should have been the Huxtable Show.
It's like the Bob Newhart Show or Newhart.
But he was Newhart on that show.
It bugs me. We should have known something was off with him then. He didn't even want to go by his own name in the show.
But they usually don't. You know, like the Patty Duke show, her name wasn't Patty Duke, and the Donna Reed show, her name wasn't Donna Reed.
Mary Tyler Moore.
Her name wasn't Mary Tyler Moore. It was Mary.
Yeah, it was Mary something else. Yeah, you're right.
Mary should investigate all of them.
Mary Cosby.
It was Mary Richards.
What about Lou Grant? Oh no, he was a character. Forget it.
That was a Mary.
What about Fish?
Fish?
We are off the rails.
Sorry, guys.
Lucy. I call you.
Fuck.
Lucy
Sorry, that's my nickname.
I'm never gonna get over that in my
Don't
that's just gonna
make sure you spell her name right. Always spell her name the right way. I know that much.
Oh, that makes me so mad. Like if you I get it if you're like doing it to be funny, like calling me Lucy, but if you specifically spell Lacey wrong, it is like the biggest pet peeve because it's like right there in front of you. Like how do you not know how to spell it? Like you're specifically like Facebook will auto-populate it for you. Like I mean,
True.
it just like it drives me insane. It's
hey,
really one of those things.
Lacey, is that why your name is capital on Skype? It's Lacy all in caps. It's like motherfucker.
I think
Lacey without an E. There's no E and there's no U in that shit. Lacey, big letters.
I don't know why it is, honestly.
Oh, okay. I thought you were making
No, I think I was drunk when I created it.
From this day forward, you're Lucy. Just so you know.
Damn it.
It's spelled wrong too on Skype.
Okay.
Oh wait, are we wrapping this bad boy up or what?
Let's give it our ratings.
Wait, I want Jerry Springer final thoughts.
Okay, final thoughts and ratings. How's that? Be nice to yourself and each other. Yes.
Have your pet spayed or neutered.
I will
Bob Barker there too.
I'll say this, dude. No, you're hysterical. I'm just trying to speed it up. I'm just.
You're hysterical.
No, trust me, you're funny.
Trust me, man, you're funny.
Thank you.
Hey, when we did the slasher show, this was my number 29 slasher of all time, and I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. This time, it would still make my top 50 slashers, but I bumped it down a bit. To me, it's just a 7 out of 10. So. The Mutilator, there's a few problems, unfortunately, some things that don't make sense that we talked about. A reveal would have been awesome, more mystery, but it does. The focus is on the right thing in a slasher, the fucking kills. This is what slashers kills should look like. So I can't go below a 7. And there you have it.
Okay.
I'm going to let the ladies go first. I'm so sorry.
You blew it.
What an asshole. Forgive me, please.
So Brandon, Lacey, you might as well, because I think Jamie's muted, so you might as well start.
Okay. Well, I'll bring it back to the rest of my notes real quick here. So we didn't even mention like that little like musical dance number that guy did, like sped up like really quick.
It was
it was like a cartoon. Like I don't know. I just thought that was really fun, and I mean, I guess it being by a guy named Buddy Cooper, I wouldn't expect anything less. My favorite part was when, the son and his girlfriend are, he's like about to kill his son, I guess, in the garage. And, she comes in, she's like, leave him alone. And he just like looks at her and he just fucking stabs him in the leg. Like, I'm going to show you. She goes, leave him alone. He just stabs him. Like, and then he goes after her. Like, I don't know. I just thought that was really funny. Like, leave him alone. Stab him in the leg.
Wait. What happened?
Well, he like stabbed again. Oh, I repeated myself. I get it. Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm kidding.
All right. Well, and then when he's on top of the car, how have we not talked about that?
Oh yeah.
And like they're like, we're gonna die, and like he's just like,
It's a great scene.
Yeah, he was a fun killer in my opinion. And then he got in like one last act of like at the end, like after his body's like already like cut in half. Like he was just like, I gotta do one last thing, and he cuts off the dude's leg. Like
not only was he cut in half, but before that he had been stabbed in the heart. Right. So he got stabbed in the heart, severed in half, and still had the strength to wield that battle axe and cut that cop's leg off.
I mean, he's a super killer in my opinion. Like, I had a lot of fun with it, but I do agree that, the hide and seek or blind man's bluff wasn't capitalized on. But it did make me want to play that as an adult. So if we ever meet up, we're going to do that, guys. Yes. And this was a first time watch for me, and that Fall Break song was stuck in my head. Yeah, this was a first time watch, and I had a lot of fun with it. I have to rate it out of 10. Fuck. That changes double the number. It's an 8.
Nice.
Whoa,
that's awesome.
Generous Lacey.
I love it.
I had fun with it, so thank you for recommending it.
Oh, awesome. Yeah,
Jamie, you're up.
Well, I'll look it up after.
Okay, this, like I said, I've seen it a bunch. It's fun. But it's the kind of fun that's really only fun because you're making fun of it.
Right.
Cool. It's not well made. Like the kills are great, but it's not, the acting isn't good. The ADR work isn't convincing. That, particularly those two people in the convenience store, that was just bad. I mean, you look at it and you go, buddy, what was that? Like, what were you thinking, dude? But at the same time, there's a lot of material here to just have a great time with. And that's kind of what I look for in a movie like this. So last night we put the movie in, and I turned to Brian. I was like, you know what? As soon as we hit play on this movie, it felt like Friday night. Like, it just, I don't always realize when the weekends are here because most of the time it doesn't matter with my schedule. I'm all over the place. But when I was watching this movie last night, it felt like a Friday night because this is like a Friday night kind of movie. And it was fun. It was a whole lot of fun. I can't go crazy high with it, but I will give it a solid 7. And, if you know my scale, that's like between a like and a really like. So it's just more than like, not quite really like.
So you liked
the official terminology. I liked it. Yes, I liked
awesome.
it.
And where was he stabbed again?
In the leg.
Oh, and I will say, by the time we got to the end of the movie, I was at least impressed that she jumped in and fought for her boyfriend, which is something that you don't see often enough. I was happy to see that she just went ham on this guy, and good on her. So I did like her more by the time we got to the end, until she tried to make him drive, which I thought was just stupid.
At least she didn't hide under the bed and pee herself.
Well, yes, there you go.
Hey, leave Ginny alone.
It was the rat.
It was the rat.
Wow, that's closer to I think where I'm coming. Braden, I think you could go last because I have a feeling you'll be a little bit more generous on this than I am. It's amateurish, but that is kind of its charm as well. I mean, you brought up some of the technical issues, Jamie. It's one note, but it's a slasher film, so to almost say it's one note, I mean, I guess I'm just reiterating what most people expect from most slashers. I feel like if we got a twist at the end, it would have been better. The poster's great. The kills are great, or overall they're great. And so you do have fun with it, poking fun at it. But I'm a 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, you know what? I really was right there with you, see. And I believe this made my top 50 as well. But there is a charm to it. The kills are great. The characters are likable. It's a kind of like a so bad it's good film. It really is.
I got stabbed in the leg.
Yeah, and he got stabbed, and he got stabbed in the leg. I'll come a little bit higher than you. I'm gonna go 6.75 out of 10.
Oh boy.
There we go.
What? Like that's
I invented that rating.
She just made it up.
I invented that rating.
We do quarter ratings. I might have been at a 7 or a 7.5 the last time I rated it. I have no idea, but this time I was watching. I'm like, wow, this is really not a good movie, but yet I still found myself enjoying it. Yeah, but it's far from a good movie. But those kills are awesome.
I mean, the dude got stabbed in the leg. I mean, how is that not an 8 out of 10?
But what I wouldn't give for a slasher in 2020 to be like this.
Yeah,
but it's a simple formula, and you can't get them anymore.
I would just love a slasher, period.
At the same time, it seems so simple. Take the gore and practical effects of these kills, add in a twist or two, and there you got it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not a hard formula, yet it just seems like it's few and far between.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
3.14159265359.
That's impressive. You just recited pi.
Oh my God, you got that. Good for you.
He'll surprise you every time, B. I tell you, he really will. Well, that was from our buddy Scott on the patrons. So also known as Chris. I always throw it in. You know what I mean? So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Scott Chris. He loves both names too. So
yeah, he doesn't care. He's happy. He's happy. He even messaged me. He was the one that told me about the email on the other show. I just want to make sure you guys know that this was addressed on some other show. I'm like, thank you. I already listened, of course, because I listen to everybody's show on the network and everybody that I chat with. I don't miss anybody's show ever, unless it's a brand new movie and I haven't seen it. Like I can't keep up with freaking Fresh Cunts or the His and Hers now.
Did you just call them Fresh Cunts?
Yeah, I have a nickname for everything, Lacey. Yes.
Or no, I like their other show, No More Room on Horrorphilia.
Yes.
What do you call my shows, Dave?
What do I call your shows?
He never badmouths your shows, Jamie. No. He never does.
I believe he called Liking Nothing. I'm just kidding.
It's probably because he knows he'll never know when I'm going to listen. And he's like, she could be listening right now.
True, and you're usually one of the people that I tell my nicknames to. So I'm not going to make fun of your shit. I'm going to make fun of everybody else's shit, and I'm going to mention it to you. Get it?
Now I want to know what Cut to the Chase is.
Cute to the Chase, because Jason Lloyd coined it, and I think that's great. Cute to the chase, because it is kind of adorable, you know, especially now that I know that you guys used to do that shit on Skype and watch movies. That's fucking adorable. I am a softie. I come off as an asshole sometimes, but when you get right down to it, I'm really a soft kind of guy in some ways. So I appreciate that. So yeah, and Dan, I love you, buddy. I hope you're listening. So
Brian and I used to spend
to the show, Lacey.
Like as soon as one of us got home, or as soon as I got home, we would turn on Skype and we would spend the whole evening. We'd watch Dexter. We'd watch, I don't know, whatever. Walking Dead. We would watch shows. We'd watch movies. We'd just hang out. We'd cook dinner together.
I think it's adorable. See, I never thought to do that. Anytime I did anything with a female it was other stuff. It wasn't like, let's watch a movie. It was like, I'll show you mine.
You were pulling her hair and choking her and cutting her wrist, right?
You love this. You love this.
I was pulling this.
Man.
Yeah, come here. Yeah, how do you think of that? Yeah. No.
I try to do all that stuff, but then my wife gets mad at me because it's cheating. I can't Skype and cook with other women anymore, unfortunately.
And I can't do it because my dad's always cock blocking me.
Yeah, true story, right?
Well, he's bigger, Lacey. I don't know if you know that. Anyway, let's maybe take a bit of a break.
What?
Okay. So Triangle, from 2009, written and directed by Christopher Smith. A group of friends suffer a yachting accident and take refuge on a cruise ship drifting on the open sea, but quickly realize they were better off on the upturned yacht.
And this movie here is the very first movie picked out from Eric Webster, who we had, who spoke before and mentioned that he upped his patronage. Well, as soon as he upped his patronage, I said, well, what do you want us to watch? He said Triangle. I said, wonderful, because that was one of the movies on the outskirts of my top 100 that I wasn't sure was going to make the list because it's a 2000, it counts.
It does. Okay, that's what I wanted to ask, if it counts, because...
It does.
Okay.
It's DVD in the United States in 2010.
Okay,
Correct.
Perfect.
So
that's all I needed because I want to count it.
No, man.
Spoiler.
Well, there you go. Somebody likes the movie a lot.
Spoiler, it sucks. I want to count it and leave it off.
Now, is this everybody's first time seeing it? This is my probably third, but they were all spaced out under, like 3 years apart. So
I have the
Lacey.
DVD. I've seen it before.
It's Lacey's first time. Am I right?
Yeah, like I had attempted to, I think, watch this before, because I remember a part of it, and so, but it was definitely like I couldn't get into it back then for some reason, but so I would say it's definitely a first time watch because I never finished it. So yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? First time?
First
or no?
time for me as well.
Really?
Third time for me.
Right.
No, it's about the third time for me.
Okay. All right. So, what are we thinking about this one? I'll tell you what. I won't. I'll say that for the end because then that will anyone that's listened to the show knows where kind of my ratings go as far as the top 100. So if I say it now, it's gonna give too much away. So I will say that I got more out of it this time than I had before, but I guess that's not a surprise for me because it takes usually at least 2 watches. And a movie like this, which is kind of, it's jumping around. You know what's weird? I thought this movie, and correct me if I'm wrong, the boat itself is called Triangle. Okay, I get that now. I always thought... What's that?
So is the harbor. So the harbor's something triangle. The boat's triangle.
Okay, now is this movie about the Bermuda Triangle or not?
Well, that's what I thought.
Supposedly they get lost in the Bermuda Triangle. That's sort of like...
It didn't seem like it was like presented that way though, because then it makes sense more. Honestly.
I've never taken it that way. Like the first time I watched it, I thought that's where we were going because of the title, and then I realized, the boat's name is Triangle. I think it's a nod to it. I don't think it's like actually there, because also, where are they? I thought they were...
They're in Florida.
They're in Florida.
It's filmed in Australia, but it's supposed to be Florida.
Okay. I mean, it may be, but it's never really said, so I just don't. I think it's more of a nod than anything. Kind of like the Room 237 thing and the...
Fuck. Yeah. How many Shining... Her house was 237. The room they went into was 237. When they got in the freaking thing, when they got into that room in 237, they went into the bathroom, just like in The Shining in 237. The shower's running, and the wallpaper in room 237. You noticed it all, too.
Did you hear the score during that scene, too? The score during that scene. They had the rolling timpani, you know what I'm talking about, like from The Shining? Yes. They were doing that throughout that scene, too. So it was really clearly not even just a nod. That was like a straight-up symphony to The Shining.
The score and sound design in this is fantastic.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It's really good. It's really good. And again, the first watch for me, it's a confusing movie. So I'm glad I watched it this time because I got more out of it.
It is confusing. I do think it takes a couple of watches to really kind of pull more out of it. And I just think, when you watch it, for me, this third time, and just the way it wraps up and everything, and it all kind of makes sense now. And I just thought it's brilliant, actually. The way it slowly reveals more and more, because you start to question a lot of things that you're watching. It's like, well, why don't you do this? They eventually get to everything.
Yeah.
A lot of attention to detail.
And then there's those moments, like when she finds all those notes that say if they board, kill them all. Mm-hmm. When she finds those notes, and then the moment she grabs a piece of paper and starts testing it, you realize all of those papers are examples of her testing it previously.
Yeah.
Like testing the handwriting. And that just, when you see the sheer number of those, it just hits you. It's like, holy crap. Like this, and then every time we see anything that sort of alludes to the number of times this has happened, it just, wow.
But that note writing scene is really great because, like you said, you're watching it, you're like, okay, well, if this cycle is repeating like this and she becomes, sorry for, using the term again, but this sackhead Jess who winds up killing them, why is this Jess so good? But they're all good, and they eventually get to that point, as you see, as it slowly unravels, as, the loop continues.
Are they, though? Are they all good? What about the one, okay, what about everyone who's listening so far? If you don't know by now, we're spoiling. And this is, if you haven't seen this movie, then just stop and look at the timestamps, because we kind of have to. So I want to give everybody 5-10 seconds to get the hell out, because you don't want to spoil it. But how about when they go back, when she goes back and she sees herself, but the way she's behaving towards the child is not what she would ordinarily do. What is up with that? How is she good?
That's how she is.
You think she did that morning?
No, that is how she is. Only she's now viewing herself from a third person point of view.
Yes.
She's seeing herself from the outside. She didn't necessarily realize she was always like that.
Yes.
And so now, and now she also has an appreciation of her son, an appreciation of life in general. So her whole outlook has completely changed. She's a totally different person than from when she started that day.
Yeah, but hold on a minute.
Thank you, Brandon.
Hold on
That's
a minute.
her arc.
No,
but
listen.
I went right back and rewatched the beginning. Right after.
She's a stressed out.
I don't give a shit. Something's wrong with. It's not that he's just dumb and makes bad choices. He literally has. I don't know what his diagnosis is.
He's autistic.
Okay, so if he's autistic, why would she question and say, "Why are you so dumb?" and this and that, and that you're just like your father? That's the type of shit that a normal abusive parent does to a normal type child. You wouldn't say that to an autistic child. That doesn't make sense to me.
I think
that's like the kind of shit that my daughter had to go through.
Sometimes good parents can turn bad. I mean, her husband evidently left. She's frustrated. She's a single mom dealing with an autistic child. She's just become abusive. All she wanted was one day off, because when you have a special needs child, you get no days off. She wanted a day to herself, and this was fucking up her plans. It's frustrating. But the thing is that we don't know. We haven't spent a significant amount of time with them prior to this happening. She could have been this raving lunatic the whole time. We don't know. I mean, maybe she's so far to the end of her rope at this point that this is her life now. She is standing at the bottom of a lake. And that toy boat flipped over in the pool. Awesome.
She just,
yeah.
I think she didn't realize what kind of person she had become until she saw it first.
Exactly.
And it just, and we, that happens to us sometimes. Like, have you ever been so pissed off, and then suddenly you're giving attitude to someone who doesn't even deserve it, like a coworker or something, and then you're you catch yourself and you're like, oh shit, man, I'm sorry, you don't deserve that. That is something that is not your fault, and I'm an ass.
She's taking something for granted until it's completely taken away from her, and she has to fight to get back to it.
Yeah, I can buy it. I just the only thing that bothered me was that she said, "Why are you dumb?" and bringing up her father. That doesn't seem like something that would. I don't know.
She's just like Jamie said. She's just at the end of her rope.
I get it. I don't know. I just wish I wish the dialogue would have been a little bit different. That I don't know. Like, I wish you could have said something like, "Why did you have to be born this way?" or something like that. How come I had to be the mother of a child that was born this way? To me, that would seem more representative of someone that had a child that way than that. Just seems like something that would have happened to my daughter from her mother when she was going through shit there. Why
Instead,
are you so dumb?
She
just like
calls him an asshole.
Or an asshole.
Well,
right.
She did call him an asshole.
Well, okay.
Yeah, she did.
And now
yeah. That was brutal. I think that was I think that was the biggest twist for me in this movie, honestly, was,
he is an asshole.
No, I thought it was a twist, to see her, treat her kid that way. Because, I mean, the whole movie, she's trying to get back to him. Right. And to see how she was treating him before. I thought that was a very well implemented twist. And,
absolutely.
like, before you're, like, rooting for her. And then after seeing that, you kind of lose that. Like, you're not really rooting for her anymore. I love the twist of, like, the villainess of her.
I was rooting for her, but just for the current iteration of her, the new her. But yeah, it's like through the whole thing, she's the good guy. She's the way, the redheaded bitch. She's being mean and snotty to her. It's and then you get little snippets of her story. She works. She's a waitress. I know that's fucking hard. She has a special needs child. She doesn't ever take time for herself. So you're feeling for her. You're feeling really bad for her. And then when you see how she is, you're like, fuck, But then at that point, you have the one we've been traveling through the whole story with, and that's the one we can then focus on. And really, she's our hero anyway. The one that we see at the end in the dress, we don't even know her, you know. So this movie is so brilliant. It's so brilliant.
They're gotta have some. I was like trying to look at the distance from Florida to the Bermuda Triangle, just because you figure it's got to play into it with the title as well. Only because of the supernatural kind of looping aspect of it, of having her playing this over and over again. I think it has to sort of play into it somehow.
Sisyphus.
Yeah.
They make a reference to Sisyphus on the because the big ship, the name of the big ship is the sun. Was it Sisyphus' son?
Aeolus. Yeah, Aeolus, the sun.
So, I think. See, I've watched it under I've looked at it so many different ways. Like, is she in hell? Is she?
It's very Twilight Zone-ish, no?
The taxi driver, I mean, he's dressed in black. He's evidently like some sort of devilish figure. But he's giving her a chance, and she's not, and she's still fighting for it. Because when he says, "I'll see you again," and she's like, "Yeah, you will." Like, meaning she's gonna try her best to get back to her son and make things right.
Like, this time it's gonna work.
Yeah.
And I thank you though for saying that about the driver, because I said the same thing. He seems like there's something going on, because he said just a driver. So he knows what's up. I feel like he knows what's up. Yeah. And
he's deaf, and she cheated him, right?
And. Well, yeah. Look at it. You can look at it that way.
Like the Sisyphus thing. Mm-hmm. That's what they said. Yeah. So he's deaf, because he even says, why would he make a statement such as "there's no helping that boy" or something? How would he know just from where he was observing? You know what I mean? So if he wasn't deaf.
If you look at it, that's actually really excellent, Dave. If you look at it from this point of view, from the Sisyphus point of view, okay, go back to the very first time that she had this accident. When the first time it happened. First time it happened, it wouldn't have happened because it didn't happen until after she came back. God damn it, I hate time loops. Okay, there had to be a time when it happened, and she was supposed to go, and she essentially cheated death by saying, hey, keep the meter running, I'll be right back. Only she goes to go it over again, and then she keeps doing it over again and doing it over again and doing it over again. Her basically pushing the rock up the hill, but. That doesn't really work, I guess, because I don't know, come back for that to work, because if she didn't come back to kill herself, then that never would have happened.
Yeah, but the loop is different every time. There's always something a little different about it. So
a little bit different, yeah. Then there are things, and that's enough. That's and that's what I like about it too, because in reality, that's how it would be. Because especially as you start to figure things out, you're going to do things differently. So you're going to have the same outcome likely, if that's the way it's meant to be, but but things are going to be slightly different because you're going to do different things. So I like that.
But the loop does have to start in the water. It does have to start in the water then for it to make sense. Right. You can't start it on land.
You can't start it on the land, yeah. That scene where she hits the bird, and then she goes and throws the bird, and then she sees the pile of birds.
Oh man!
Oh my God!
And they have that other bird that flies out, and it's sort of following her as well.
She's looking at him, and at the time when we first see that, and he's like, "Oh, he thinks we're a fishing boat," and she's looking at it, but she's kind of got this freaked out look on her face. You don't really know why yet, but then I don't think she knows either because she seems to kind of forget. But then at the very last shot is when they are leaving in the boat. The very last shot we get is that gull taking off, and then it kind of focuses on the gull in the sky, and so you realize that's the same one, and I just got fucking chills. Oh my god, it is so good.
And the gull is this beautiful white gull versus the representation of the driver in black representing death. It's like good versus evil, and she's stuck in this loop, and she still has a chance to make good out of this.
Now, is that gull one of the gulls that was feasting on the Sallies? Because that shit was great. Those fucking seagulls were like, yeah, they were fucking. They had a
I don't think it's a Sally feasting gull.
Sally feasting gull.
I got to give it credit for the budget. It seemed like, I always say this, and one of my complaints is like, if you have these ambitions, make sure you can sell it. And yeah, there are some things that are not like seamless, but I thought they did a great job with like the effects of someone falling into the water, and when they're the capsizing of the boat, and the dead Sallies and all, and et cetera, et cetera. I thought that was really cool. And
you can't tell.
For their budget, I thought that was amazing.
Now, did they film that on a real ship, I assume?
Ooh,
does anybody know?
I don't know. Honestly.
I would assume so, because that's one hell of a set if they didn't. But yeah, I don't think you can see the budget at all. Like, I don't think you can see that it was a little budget. It looks like they were able to accomplish everything they wanted to, and really well.
Yeah, I think the funnest part for this movie for me was, as I'm going through my notes, like asking myself questions, because I do that a lot, I guess. Because I was just like, I thought this took place on a cruise ship. And then I wrote, immediately following, like, as soon as the fucking Titanic showed up. But, no, I think the funnest part was, like, seeing, like, as it was going, like, questions were being answered. Like, you're right, it did answer everything. The first thing that I wrote down was when she says at the beginning, when I have a bad dream, I close my eyes and then think of something nice. And I'm just like, well, why is she saying that? Like, and then, it plays it back in such a big way. And I don't know, it was just really creative. And, at that time I was just like, well, is that like foreshadowing something? And absolutely it did. But like, cause I was just like, well, he's awake. How can he be dreaming? Like, so I was questioning that, So, and then, they come back and, you get that whole extra scene that, how it really played out. I loved it.
I almost watched the beginning right when it ended, but I felt like all my questions were answered. I was like, right until it got like the last 10 minutes, I'm like, I'm going to have to watch this, the first 10 minutes of this movie again and compare. But then when it actually happened and it came time for the credits to roll, I was like, you know what? I felt that was satisfying. I didn't have to go back, but I was still thinking about that, how everything tied in from the beginning to the end. But it was really cool. Yeah. For me, the scariest shit, though, for me, and I've talked about this many times on the show with me and the drowning and all that stuff, is in the beginning when all that stuff is starting to happen and you see all those dark clouds rolling in and shit.
Yeah.
And the waves. I was like shitting my pants. I was like, oh man, fuck that. Because I think of that like in a movie like this where everything is, fantastical, at that point in the movie, it's not yet. You're just taking this, this trip on this little ship, going sailing, and then all that goes down. And the way it was shot, the way it looked in the clouds rolling in, and the waves and what was going on with the water, dude, that was terrifying to me. It made me very uncomfortable. And it's a
Poor Heather.
Fucking Heather, that girl, that Sally girl, must have mentioned Heather more times than those people in Poltergeist 3 yelled Carol Ann. Everything was Heather. Heather's going to be on the... How would Heather, in your wildest dreams, how would a Heather have made it on that freaking giant ship? And you know the odds of that? And then everything was Heather. Heather dropped the keys.
With Jess's keys. Yeah, with Jess's keys.
Dude,
I want to know what the...
Heather.
But that's exactly it. And she's never back. So there's... Like, what's the take on that? Because I actually don't have an answer.
The take on it at first is that she's the lucky one because she's not part of the cycle until the end of the movie when you realize she is part of the cycle. She just doesn't get to go to the cruise ship.
Ooh, good call. I hadn't realized that. But yeah, I was like, I always thought, because at first when I watched it, I thought that it was like a Carnival of Souls kind of thing. The first time, when I didn't know how it ended, I was expecting it to be like, everyone's dead. And I thought, well, maybe she was the one who survived. And that's why when she gets sucked out of the boat, she actually ends up surviving somewhere. And then the rest of them die, and that's why we follow them. And I thought that we were going to find that out at the end, but we don't. So I don't know. I guess she's just dead, and she just keeps dying over and over again.
And it's kind of sucks for these guys because there's no way out really for them.
No.
Poor Hemsworth gets a hook in the back of his brain.
Oh, that's so well done, though, how they do that. It was cringy, very cringy.
Yeah.
In a good way, cringy.
Absolutely. I don't get why she just didn't kill everybody. As soon as she found out that that's all you have to do, like if she's this person that we clearly know has lost her temper, and when we get things revealed later on, maybe she's not so goody two shoes as we think. And you find out, hey, kill everybody and you'll be free. Why would that be such a challenge? She should have just taken the gun and freaking whacked everybody.
It reminds me of last year's sort of Record of Sweet Murder, where like it's going to eventually happen, but you got to think like it's got to build to that.
Yeah, I think my only. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I talked a lot. Go ahead.
No, I think my only like qualms with it is like I wanted to see like I guess you don't need to. I mean, because it does show you the backstory of her, being a terrible mother, but I mean, I wanted to see where she got to that point to, the first story of how, she killed them, like of how that actually played out. Like I wanted to see that for some reason. I thought that would have been, and it just never did that. Like it automatically just went into the deja vu scenario, which I mean, it does, make for a cool buildup and, reveal. But I still like out of my general curiosity, like I want to see like what was it that made her kill them to begin with? Like, I mean, obviously like it was an accident. Like, so I mean, I can draw my own conclusions, but I really wanted to see it play out because I don't know.
It's an interesting point because if that first time would have to be just pure speculation on her part, and that would kind of change the dynamic of her character. She would kind of be evil, whereas at this point she's getting hints, later on. So that first time she has to reach a point where she almost loses it and becomes a psycho killer and just starts killing everyone. Like maybe this will stop this craziness.
Well, there's so many different sides to her, which the director masterfully, if I do say so myself, shows through like reflections where you see like a dual or triple reflection of her. And of course in the main storytelling as well of having multiple versions of her.
Right.
Literally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like all, being different emotional states.
Maybe in the original Voyage, she snapped because everything going on with her son and everything whatever, and she just snapped and fucking killed everybody. And now she's in hell, and this is her hell. Maybe it's that simple.
It's like it felt like purgatory to me in a sense.
Yeah, but then why are they having to suffer too? That was something that's.
Well, they're really not. It's all in her mind. It's her version of hell. It's like the Twilight Zone episode when they go on the ship. Or we've had other shows, and I know I brought it up before, where I said that this is just their version of hell, and these are just basically like actors in it, in a matter of speaking. They're just part of it. I don't know.
Maybe there was no first time. Maybe it. I mean, I tossed out Ouroboros earlier, but maybe it has always been. Maybe it's the Alpha and the Omega. It's it's the God. The whole, God wasn't, there was never a time when there wasn't God. He's just always been, It's impossible to wrap your mind around that, but that is, a lot of people believe that. So
I'm going
maybe
with that.
It just always has been.
I'm on board with that.
There is that part where they talk, I can't like direct quote it, but now that I'm remembering back, like they're talking about, the Greek gods are, and they're talking about how he didn't kill him the right way or he didn't follow through with the promise of killing. Do you guys remember that conversation taking place?
Yeah.
So like, I think that probably alludes to, I don't know, like it to the gods or something. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I agree.
Well, is she talking about what I brought up, the Sisyphus thing earlier? Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
part of it.
Aeolus cheated death and
Yeah, so his punishment is to constantly push, or Sisyphus' punishment was to constantly push a rock up a hill, without getting anywhere. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's definitely an illusion. And So, but there are a lot of things that wouldn't work, without something, everything going in place the very first time. And so then you think, well, when was the first time? Well, maybe there wasn't a first time. Maybe it just has always been. And is that logical? No. But
but is anything going on in this movie really logical?
Well, exactly.
I don't know. Could you scratch the surface and see if 1932 means something when supposedly that ship was there and everything else?
I was wondering that too. Oh, here's a question.
Does it tie into The Shining even more because they have the ballroom and because there's more Shining stuff going on in this movie? I don't know. Maybe.
Why sometimes is the food rotten and sometimes it's not?
Right. I thought that too. Only in her eyes though, right?
And why is the time, her watch matches the time on the clock on the wall, time with the clock on the wall, and then Donovan, what's his name? Downey's watch was a totally different time. Like hers said 8:20 or something, and his was like 11:30.
I think it's because she's the one who's stuck in it. Like you said, the other characters, it doesn't even matter about them. That it's in her mind really.
Okay, so that just sort of is driving home that it's all about her, I guess.
And the rotten versus the fresh, like Christian says, the duality of it all. But I really agree that I really love that idea that this is the way it's always been, that there isn't a first time, because that would really bother me if the director came out and said, well, yeah, there definitely had to be a first time, because that would really bother me that the character could reach that point. Because even though, yes, she is clearly abusive to her son when we eventually see her at the house, it's not implying that she's a terrible mother or a terrible person at any point in this movie. So I wouldn't be on board with that she reaches a point where she becomes a horrible person in order to try to redeem herself. That's not the way to redemption.
Right.
So I like the idea of hell. I always do. I like that, the repetition in hell thing. I always thought.
I think the hell aspect of it comes in if she gives up on trying to get back to her son, which is why the driver says, you will come back. And she says yes. He's like, I'll leave the meter running. She's going out yachting for the day.
I don't get that. Yeah, because I thought she was like just going to go.
Because he's a supernatural entity.
That's exactly.
He's always going to be there.
Yeah.
It's cryptic.
He's like giving it another shot.
Exactly.
And she's like, yes. And did we already answer the fact that it was never the first time? Like we obviously we know this by the movie playing out. She already has that sense of deja vu right out of the gate when they get on that ship. So
just like The Shining.
This over and over again. We've just come into the story in one part of the loop. It says that the director was inspired by Dead of Night and Memento. He wanted to make a circular film that explored deja vu but avoided using the same elements as Jacob's Ladder. And that the sets include the exterior of a cruise liner, which Smith, the director, insisted on constructing as he believed it was important they avoid shooting everything with green screens. And the film is based in part of the story of Sisyphus, a figure of Greek mythology.
So the director didn't talk about The Shining.
Don't they have medication if you catch Sisyphus?
When clearly he should have.
Not in this one brief little synopsis.
No, but it's a virus. They can only treat the symptoms.
Yeah. Well, because there's even a line literally the same as The Shining when Jack's talking to Wendy and he says, it's almost as if I knew what was going to be around every corner. Ooh, that's it. Okay. She says the same thing. I knew what was going to be around right after every corner. Same thing. There's so many Shining things.
Yeah. Awesome.
Tons.
Why not pay homage to a great movie?
Oh, fuck. You know what I love? And I never miss him, I don't think. I'm always like, that's from The Shining.
People did that with Joker last year. Everyone was like, oh, it's Taxi Driver. So what if it's Taxi Driver? Taxi Driver's an amazing movie.
That's okay. I have a criticism.
Here's a thing I thought of at the end of the movie last night, too. I'm like, and I was like, you realize that, Brian, that it's the same one going through every time. Now, and what I mean by that is we followed her from the time that she got on the dock to the time that they went out on the boat crashed, they got on the other boat. We followed her all the way through that, all the way back around to her house, back around to her killing her other self, back around to her getting into the car accident, and then showing up at the dock again, and it was the same one. And now she's going back out on that trip, the same one. Now she tends to forget what happens, but now I'm like, but it's the same one, so where are all these other ones coming from? I mean, I don't think I was supposed to think about it that hard, but do you see what I mean? Like,
yeah, if you overthink about it, I'm sure you could pick up a lot of inconsistencies or a lot of maybe plot holes. But I try not to I think it will drive you nuts if you do. But yeah,
every time travel movie.
Yeah,
there's not a single one that works.
Yeah, I don't think you can master it, but I think Terminator. It's masterfully done anyway.
I think it's great. I do have one criticism. Go ahead, B. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I love the explanation for them hearing the distress call, hearing their voices, how that plays out with the chase with Sally at the end, and also the reason why she wears the sack. Like you think you're like, okay, she reaches the point where she puts on a sack. Like, what does she become, a deranged psycho killer? No, it's to hide the fact that she's feeling shame for what she's about to do.
Right.
So that's great. That just speaks to this character being, being good and being a quality person and trying to, get some redemption and make it right, but having to do awful things.
Right.
No, I mean, and, that brings up a good point because, I felt like she killed them kind of easily, but when it came to killing herself, like, she had problem pulling the trigger, and it seemed like she did that, like, every time, like, she just couldn't kill herself, and then, like, it comes full circle, like, when she sees how bad of a person, she's treating her kid, and she just goes in and just bludgeons herself. So, I mean, like, the different, how far she came across, I guess. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, because, I mean, she did have problems. Like, I was just like, it says kill them all, if you want to see your kid. And, I mean, I don't know. Like, she had problems, killing herself.
And you know what? That's my criticism. I have two criticisms where someone could have clearly explained things the right way. Mm-hmm. When she was in that, when she was fighting with herself, right, and she's talking through the freaking sack. Oh, right. Come on. She should have stopped, hold the fucking thing off, say, hey, look at me. Obviously, I'm you. Now, I'm going to tell you something, okay? This is what you do. This is why I'm here, and this is why I'm here. Clearly, nobody knows you more than you. So right. you know what's going to work on yourself. And that's not like that would work with me. Hold it. Dave, come here. Sit down. Let me explain to you what's going on here. Because you know how you, in a serious manner, would act. So she should have just done that. And that's just minor. But
I agree.
I don't know if you could act that rational when every single version of her, even the ones that are being killed, are good versions. They're panicked, they're stressed. There's a fight to the death here. I know what you're saying.
So many times you're gonna get to that point. Hey, listen, asshole, slow your fucking roll. Do this, okay? And this won't end. Enough is enough. I'm tired. Come on, do what you gotta do. I don't know, but. This is the thing that bothered me. That didn't bother me so much.
I think it's meant to be set up that way. It'd be too easy for her. It wouldn't be a challenge. It wouldn't be a test.
I mean, we wouldn't have a movie.
We'd have a movie. It just wouldn't be a test for her. It would be too simple if they took on this. Hey, it's me. Kill me.
Yeah.
As I was trying to get you answers for your Shining, Dave, a lot of it is what we've kind of already alluded to.
There's more.
But one guy brought it down and said that he thought that she's dead. Simple as that. She's dead. There's a lot of it, like Brandon mentioned, the death, the driver is evil. Room 237 is just another hint that there's evil afoot. To answer to the watch, the time on Jess's watch is the time she died. In the current iteration, her watch says 8:20, which is a reasonable time for the car crash to have occurred, especially if they leave port around 9. Greg's watch says 11:30, which is the time he died, the time the boat sank.
Yeah, I kind of figured that was when she died, but I didn't get what his was. So that makes sense.
That's cool.
And then they said Heather, if you watch carefully, is pulled out of the ship through the window. She survives, which is why she's not present in their house.
Oh, bam! I got it.
Nice. Very good.
So, I mean, this is one other person's version of it, but based on everything we've been kind of talking about, it kind of summarizes, I think, everything we've been saying. And again, the type of movie I know, Brandon, you love.
I do. I love it because there's multiple ways to do it, and it's not wrong either way. Yeah. It's, there's two ways to look at it, unless, the director comes out and says, this is what I meant for it, because she could be dead. Like you said, the watch thing, that's a big hint, because there's one of my favorite TV shows is a British show, and the character throughout the whole series doesn't realize she's dead until the end, when she realizes that her watch always had the same time on it. And so that really got me. But the whole idea that she keeps going through the loop, there's no reason to think that it would ever be successful. So she could be dead. She could be doomed to just repeat it for forever. But the majesticness of the white gull just gives me a sense of like that there's hope still.
As we were watching it, Dan was like, I have a feeling this is going to be like a 1408 or, like Time Crimes, I guess. He said it reminded him very much of those two films.
Yeah.
He's like, I have a feeling this is going to go in like a 1408 direction, which, it kind of did, in that aspect. So I thought that was a cool point.
Did anybody think she killed her son? Because that's what she says. This whole thing starts that she kills him and stuffs him in the duffel bag and is driving him to the harbor to get rid of him.
That's really fucked up.
And that's why she deserves the hell that we're witnessing.
I kind of like that better than all of this shit.
What's funny is I have seen this movie 2 times prior to this watching, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole time I'm watching this movie for this, I'm thinking she killed her son and she put him in the duffel bag, and that's why she has all the guilt on her the whole time. When he keeps asking her like, what's wrong, and then she looks guilty, and that I was thinking she did like a Susan Smith thing, like she killed him so that she could finally have a life of her own, and that didn't happen at all. But like, but why is that in my memory? Like that's exactly how I remembered.
It sounds like Casey Anthony.
Wow.
Yeah.
They don't outright show you everything, but they give enough hints. In fact, the way that they edited it at the beginning with her stuffing the duffel bag after it, and it was kind of done when you go back and rewatch it, it does seem kind of weird because I'm like, oh, there's the boys, she's hugging them, and then she's stuffing a duffel bag, and then they're taking off, and then she's at the harbor. That's how we see it. And then in the retelling, she's witnessing herself acting horribly to him. Now, we don't actually see the murder, but maybe because he thought that would be too much to put on the screen. So it's a cool way to think of it.
There's too many endings.
Think the Jess that came back knows where that exchange is about to go, and so that's why she's in such a hurry to take out the other one. She goes around, she rings the doorbell to get her attention. She grabs the hammer, and she doesn't even pause, man. She just walks in that house and starts beating the shit out of her. And I think it's because she knows where it's going to end up. And so, and even though we don't explicitly see it, she knows.
Well, the take that I took away from
one way
it,
to look at it.
Yeah.
the car accident at the end, like in a sense, like because it didn't show her specifically, the one that we've been following. It doesn't show her body. It just shows her like outside. So I feel like she's just watching these things happen. Like I don't know, like because she put that body in the trunk, but the body wasn't in the bag anymore. The body was in the dress and it was out. So
Oh my God, that's good.
So I don't know if like, that's just she is living her hell, and
my brain is melted.
I'm sorry.
No, this is great because now that's so perfect because you don't see the duffel bag. You just see her in the dress.
Yeah.
And you see her standing in the road. So maybe the fact that she's doomed to repeat this whole thing is not because she's supposed to try and save her son, but because she's supposed to see what she really did and she refuses to see it. She keeps repeating it and seeing herself saving her son from her abusive self rather than accepting the fact that she killed her son. And
I like that.
Yeah,
oh my God.
I like that. Oh, but then the driver says,
You're welcome.
The driver says nothing's going to save that kid.
Right.
And
and telling us.
So he's like flat out saying there's nothing you can do. It's always going to happen. And
oh my God. Mind blown. Full head explosion right now.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
2 out of 10.
Yeah, I hate this movie.
I love it more now.
I love it more now too.
With that explanation. But let me tell you one thing. There's my criticism. This is the one thing that stuck out for me. When that girl, Sally, was there, literally climbing over all her dead bodies, you have to realize, hey, something is afoot here besides someone in a sack chasing me, okay? And when what's her name? When Jess tells her, hey, listen, there's something going on. There's another me down there. This is happening in this. She looks at her and she still can't believe it. She goes, you're crazy.
Maybe she doesn't see the other Sallys.
She's climbing over them. She doesn't see them.
Maybe she doesn't see them. Maybe only Jess sees them.
I suppose.
Dave, I love you so much.
I love you too. But Every time
maybe only Jess sees them. It's Jess's hell. Maybe only Jess sees them.
Okay. All right.
Do we actually see her sidestepping Sally's?
Bitch, she just told you she's not gonna hurt you. Shut up. Like, I can't stand that redheaded cunt.
Oh man. Yeah, she is rough. She is. But then again, when you look back on it, if what Jess did what we think she did, maybe what's her name? Sally has intuition about her, saying something's off with that girl. Something really is, according to what we've just uncovered here. Maybe she's like, hey, that bitch is fucked. You know, not just that she's a little off or a little stressed. Keep her the fuck away from me, and I don't want her hooking up with the guy that I want to hook my friend up with, who I think that she's actually secretly in love with. Yeah. I think that fire crotch is in love with Heather, because she did not shut up about Heather. Heather.
I'm insulted by fire crotch as somebody who has a really bad chafing going on right now, but
the only disconnect. Sorry, Brandon, I was interrupting you. Go. Sorry. Because my mind's blown in a different way.
Go ahead. Oh, no, I don't remember what I was going to say.
I'm so sorry. I know.
No,
I feel horrible.
It's not your
We're
fault.
talking about fire crotch.
It was a fire crotch joke.
Yeah.
I know. I made the joke, but I lost my actual thought by making a stupid fire crotch joke.
Sorry.
Well,
I feel bad because I kind of interrupted you there.
How about the redheaded stepchild in the Mutilator? The guy said something about a redheaded stepchild, and the guy points to his hair and he goes, hey. And he might have had like a twinge of fucking reddish brown in his head.
Ralph's hair was not red, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, he's a redhead?
It ties in.
So I want to know if she died in the car crash. I'm confused because we're saying she didn't die in a car crash because she has to make it onto the boat for this whole thing to start. But she, according to that reading, she dies earlier. This boat cruise goes. So they don't really meet them?
Well, I don't think the boat ever happened. I think that was, because she's saying I just need a day to myself. So I think that's how she pictured how her day would have gone.
I
think
I think she killed the kid. I agree.
When when the driver sees her, she's standing and he's like, hey, do you want to go somewhere? And she's like, yeah, take me to the harbor. I think that she wants to go back and try to change things, and even though it's pointless, she does. So she shows up. So the time on her watch is 8:20. The time on his watch is 11:30. So in reality, they went without her. I guess the first time.
Yeah, that's what. And in the loop, she joins.
She joins.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
That was where I was getting the disconnect, but you just summed it. That's perfect.
Wow.
Great. Yeah.
I think Christopher Smith is listening to this show going, you're all fucking morons.
I know. We got to tag him if he's around.
No one's dead. No one's dead. The boy killed them all.
He's with the sack.
There's nothing on the floor.
What are you talking about? This all takes place in a snow globe.
Nice. Oh, shit.
With an autistic kid. Oh, my God.
Oh, you're right. Yes.
Is it the Babadook?
No, it's
Cemetery Man.
St. Elmo's Fire.
St.
Elsewhere.
St. Elsewhere.
St. Elsewhere?
St. Elsewhere.
You know what? I brought up St. Elsewhere a few shows ago.
St. Elsewhere.
Yeah, it was an autistic kid with a snow globe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, when you said a snow globe, I was thinking of the end of freaking Cemetery Man.
I was thinking Krampus.
I was thinking Krampus too. Yeah.
How could I not have thought Krampus? Wow.
All right, well, I'm glad I explained it then, because it makes because everybody's going, what the fuck is she talking about?
Well, because remember the guy in Cemetery Man was
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. We're all
That's another one you could dissect till the end of time.
Yeah. Well, we should rate.
We came up with about 5 reasonably solid endings for this film, and they all kind of work.
That's why I love it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I really do.
Well,
whose watch did you say said 11:30?
Downey's watch said 11:30.
Right.
Or
Downey went down.
I think he's the one that responded when she asked
Downey.
So the whole point is that she's never a part of the boat. She just joins it after her death.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, if she died at 8:20.
Yeah.
And
I love it.
They were half expecting her, half not.
Half head explosion.
Yeah, I can totally see they would have taken off without her, especially if Sally got there and she didn't want her to be there anyway. Like she wanted him to hook up with Heather, so she wouldn't have wanted him to have a date there. So she would have been like, just go. She's not coming.
I actually thought Greg and Victor were hooking up since they're living together. They seem like a nice couple.
Maybe they are, and maybe Heather, because obviously Heather and what's her name want to hook up.
Greg was very mean to Heather. I gotta say, like, at least be nice. Like, okay, you're not interested, but
it was the
well,
hat.
It was the hat.
But then she straight up told him, "Hey, I'm not interested."
Yeah, well, I would.
She's like, I'm into the boy.
I'm into Hemsworth over there. I'm into Thor's brother over there.
Is that who
Miley's man?
Yeah, that's
together.
Wow.
Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, okay. All right. Word. Well, I think we've exasperated everything we can with this film for the most part.
I got nothing else to say personally.
Does anybody have anything else to say? Well, give it in your final thoughts and rating.
Final thoughts. I have nothing else to say.
Because it's now being called. This
I
time
have 6 more theories.
Do it. Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
Theories and rating, please.
6 more theories.
All right. You guys go ahead. You're ladies first for the rest of the show.
You're ladies first for the rest of the show.
That's right. Well, I fucked up the first review, so from now on, there you have it. You know. So.
Okay. Well, I'll go. I think it's probably easy to tell that I really love this one, especially since I've said it probably 3 times. So this one is just it's a 10 out of 10 for me.
Ooh,
wow. Nice.
Now, well, keep in mind, you know how I do ratings, so it's straight on feels. That's it. Like, do I love it? Yes, I do. And it's practically perfect. I mean, honestly, as I go through it, there are things that might trip me up, but can always come up with a reason. Like so you go for another theory. And that's fine. That actually makes it that much more intricate and interesting and layered. And it gives it more to talk about, makes it that much more interesting to me. So the more we talked about it and the more we were trying to go in all different directions just made me love it that much more because you can.
Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah, I really like this one too. Like I said, the first time I tried to watch it, like I couldn't just get into it. It's like a mood watch, I guess, in a sense. It's one that you have to pay attention to, I feel. Obviously, otherwise you miss like the whole movie. So it was definitely fun watching this. And, I loved talking about it with you guys and, the theories and, exploding Brandon's head. I did, the sack head, as you would call her, it is kind of reminiscent of like a slasher at times too. And, like Baghead Jason, or even like The Town That Dreaded Sundown, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. And I give it a 9.
Nice.
Wow.
Shit. Go ahead, B. Go ahead, blow it.
All right. No,
I'm really confused.
yeah. I just, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I really, I loved the movie. Watching it again for the 3rd time last night, and I was probably at like an 8.5. But this discussion, every single one of you said something that literally had me like, whoa, whoa!
Right?
Literally, like, and I'm just like, I absolutely love this movie. I'm gonna hold back from that 10 out of 10, but I'm very close, 9.5 out of 10.
Ooh. And you said you started at an 8?
I was probably like an 8.5. I was going to give it at first. You brought it up a whole point, this discussion, because there's so many cool theories that work and theories that are better than what I thought when I was rating it 8.5.
Right on.
Yeah.
I'll let you go last, Dave. I kind of echo what Brandon said. When I saw the movie first time watch, I was like, wow, how did I not see this before? This is great. And I love Severance. I haven't seen Creep yet.
Creep is awesome.
Love Creep.
Creep
Severance.
Awesome.
Didn't you guys do Creep on ABCs? Was that one of the? Was that
never
the
seen Creep. I've never seen Creep.
Oh, why did I think?
Because Dave's a creep and he's on ABC.
Oh, did we do it on Colossal? No, because we haven't gotten to the C's yet.
I haven't. I think it's on.
For whatever reason, I feel like you guys have talked about Creep.
I don't know why. Too. Oh.
And I'm like,
no.
We talked about.
I don't know.
I'll have to figure out why, but I got to go revisit Creep. Love Severance, and I thought he did a great job with this. 8.5 out of 10 was what I was going in with, but the discussion did raise it up. Not quite as high as Brandon, but I'm a 9 out of 10, and I actually can't wait to revisit it again. Nice. Solid, like hidden gem for me.
Yeah.
I went up too. It's crazy because I was like around the 8, and this conversation is what did it, because I think I have the movie figured out. I mean, if not, I have 2 or 3 good theories, and they all work. And until we had this discussion tonight, I was just like, yeah, pretty good, but this and this, and I'm not sure. But now that we've had this, what a great discussion. I went all the way up to a 9 from an 8, so that's
nice.
Wow. Yeah, so that's a Hall of Famer, huh?
It is.
Yeah, I don't know what the official rate.
Well,
Great.
we have a 10 out of 10, a 9.5, and just have to take one of the 9s.
Right on. So
28.5.
Perfect.
Nice.
Hall of Famer.
Did not expect a Hall of Famer. That's freaking awesome.
I didn't either. I didn't. No.
You know.
See, this is what Jamie does. She's so good at what she does. She makes you love things.
That was one of my favorite reviews.
Yeah.
That was really good. That was wow. My head hurts in a good way.
This is very important. You hear that, Watson?
Nice.
Wait, who?
ABC's A Hidden Horror, The Caller, Cheerleader Camp, and Cold Prey.
Oh,
so
The
no
Caller.
Creep. I had to look.
The Caller, another underrated film.
For whatever reason, I feel like it was you, Jamie, and Brian talking about Creep. Because I have it in my head.
Maybe that's your hell.
Oh, you know what I'll bet you're thinking of? Maybe. We talked about End of the Line, which is very similar because of the subway thing. Is that it?
You put a monster in the subway, and this creep automatically thinks it's Creep.
Yeah, but hey, I figured it out.
Yes, you did. Wow.
That's the end of the line. I knew.
Another good movie, too.
That's the one movie that it holds the sole distinction of being the only movie that we have ever held the spoiler discussion to the end of the show, like post-credits. We did the entire show, we did the credits, and then we came back around and did the spoiler discussion for that movie because we didn't want to spoil it.
Oh, man. Is End of the Line from the 2010s or no?
Yeah.
2007.
So. Oh, is it? Damn.
7.
I was going to say, it might go on my list.
I'm pretty sure it's before 2010.
Okay,
yeah, you're right.
I have too much.
And I actually tagged Marcus Devereaux in that, and he listened to the review, and he was like, "You guys," he's like, "You got most of it right," and I was like, "Damn it, what did we miss?"
Interesting.
That's cool though. That's really cool.
And that makes way more sense because I remember you guys saying it was a Canadian production. And this wasn't. So that made, I'm like, maybe I got something wrong there.
Always has to bring up Canada.
Of course. Anyway, that's awesome.
It is awesome.
All right.
We got one left.
Ready to? You want to jump right into it?
Absolutely.
All right. Final Prayer, a.k.a. The Borderlands, from 2013, written and directed by Elliot Goldner. A team of Vatican investigators descends upon a church in a remote area to demystify the unusual happenings. But what they discover is more disturbing than they had first imagined.
Okay, I wish every show we did was like this. A slasher from the 80s, a found footage movie, and a gem from the 2010s. I wish every show going forward was this, because I love all that stuff. So
I got to admit, the show definitely worked out well in terms of the films. I can't speak for the guests, but the films.
Hey,
I don't know.
Kidding.
And the guests were probably confused at the lineup. They're like, "How come these 3 movies of all time?"
I definitely was. I was like, it made no sense to me whatsoever. I'm like, okay, that one's a found footage. So is it? Nope. Okay. Nope, got nothing. Like nope. I could not make it work.
The guy who played Big Ed in The Mutilator was in all of these movies. Nah, he wasn't.
Is there a redhead in this movie? Or a fake redhead? Otherwise, then we'd have the fire crotch connection. But that'd be it. I don't know.
That deer did get a fire. Was it? No, the sheep.
Fire sheep.
Oh, my God.
That scene was very disturbing. But before we even get into it, Dave, had you seen this before?
Yes, as a matter of fact, At the beginning of one of our seasons, I said I was going to start doing one found footage movie per show for Triple R's, and this was one of the few that I did do because I hadn't seen it, but it had been recommended. At the time, it wasn't easily accessible for whatever reason. That's only going back 2 or 3 years ago. And I came back on. I said it was the first time watching it. It was been recommended because I'm a found footage enthusiast, etc. And I did review it. I don't know what rating I gave it at the time, but I only saw it once. This was my second time.
You know where this film takes place, right?
Where?
Pardon me?
Ballcomb.
Oh yeah, Ballcomb, and there was some other joke about balls, right?
Yeah.
Ballcomb.
Anyway, moving right along.
Moving
I'm kidding, man. No, the reason I ask is because of your list.
Right.
I thought this should have made it. Like, I think it's up there.
I may have retroactively put it on the list.
What did you rectally do?
I rectally put it on the list.
For found footage, I found this quite enjoyable. I've become a fan of found footage over the years, and this one was a lot of fun. And I actually texted you guys saying it makes you forget it's a found footage film because of the way they set it up.
Yeah, because they're steady. You know, they're set up like security cams. So
lots of editing.
Yeah.
It is there somewhere.
Yep, I did put it there after I watched it. So yes, it has been added to the challenge list. Correct. So it counts.
So I always have a quibble with these, like, who does the editing? But Dave said, come on, man, you got to let it go. You'll never enjoy these films. So I let it go. And so this one has probably more editing than a lot of the found footage movies do, because they get the multi-shots because of the set cameras that they put up in the church and at the house, and then the wearing the cameras, so you get POV shots. So they edit it beautifully.
Sure. And what's wrong with that?
I love it. I like it. That's a positive for me.
Right.
Me too. I don't want the shaky cams anymore. Stop shaking and blurring the cam for the sake of saying something freaky happened and not showing anything.
Yeah, that's over for the most part. I don't see too many found footage with the shaky cam anymore. There was another movie that came out, 2 years ago, and it was very similar to this, and I think I mentioned that. It was the third act especially, and I think I even owned the damn movie, and I forgot what it was. If I have a second, I'll look over, maybe I'll see it, but...
Was it As Above, So Below?
No, it wasn't As Above, So Below. No, I see what you're saying. No, this is better than that one, than the other movie I'm talking about, but I can't remember. Well, it'll come to me, but it was
very likable cast too. I like these characters. I like Gray and Deacon.
Yeah,
I do too. The characters are good. The presentation is good. I like the basic setup. Now, found footage. We know how we feel about it. We've discussed it many times. Jamie, I think for the most part, you like it, right?
I love found footage.
Yeah. For the most part.
Yeah, I will never get tired of the genre as long as the movie's good. Like,
right.
You're never gonna, like, I don't want to see anymore. I can't stand that damn, what was the Hangman movie? The Gallows. But, but if it's something like Exists, then I am, give me that all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah, Exist is awesome.
I like what the two Unfriendeds have done. I really like we're watching someone's screen, and if you can keep someone's interest for an hour, 15, 20 minutes or longer with that as the presentation, then power to you, because that's great.
Yeah.
This is very reminiscent of the show that's on TV right now. I don't know if anyone watches. It just wrapped up its first season, Evil.
No.
The show Evil. It's on CBS. Same concept. One member works for the church, and they investigate these so-called miracles or strange things that are happening, and they have two other people that work for them. One's a psychologist, and the other's like a technical guy, and they try to debunk or decide if it's really a miracle or a possession happening. And this film reminded me very much of that in a good way. It was just like an extended episode of Evil, which I really enjoyed. And I got to say, the strength of this movie is in that third act.
I agree with that. The third act is where it's at.
Ooh,
Lacey,
yeah, man.
What's your opinion on found footage in general? And, I want to know. I don't think I've ever discussed. I have no idea how you feel about found footage. I'm going to predict that you don't like it. But let me hear.
Well, actually, I think found footage movies are probably now the ones that probably scare me the most. Paranormal Activity. I don't care that first Paranormal Activity movie. The rest kind of get dumb, but that first one really scared me shitless. It like gave me nightmares. It triggered my sleep paralysis. Like it fucked with me in ways I didn't even, it's scary. I feel like, I love the point of view of it. I love found footage films like The Last Exorcism. I love too. I don't know.
Wow. See, that's what I'm saying.
Awesome.
You can't tell with Lacey Lou. I didn't think she was gonna like them, and she really likes
or
them.
Lucy.
So.
Sorry. What I love, we've talked about this on the show before. This is the slasher of the 80s had slasher films left, right, and center,
right.
And from although we can harken back to like Blair Witch and a few others before, really from Paranormal Activity and beyond, this has like been the biggest craze of the genre.
And zombies.
And zombies.
I never get tired of zombies.
I don't either.
I don't like
it's a good
zombie
movie,
movies.
If it's
There
a
you
good
go.
movie, I'll never get tired of it ever.
Yeah, well that's true if it's good.
Because I said earlier that I'm listening to our old tops of the years. Our very first that the Exploding Heads did, our first year end thing was 2000, whatever it was, 15, whatever the hell year it was. I think it was 15. I remember on that very show saying that I'm burnt out on zombies, and at the time I was. But what's happened since then is that the zombie movies that we have seen aren't like typical type zombie movies. They've gotten more creative with them, the same way that found footage movies have got more creative, where they're instead of just shaky cam found footage, it's become more into the mockumentary type thing, and they're implementing new things, and it's gotten better. Same thing I think with the zombies, and all of them, not all of them, but a lot of the zombie movies that have made our lists have been like more intimate movies. They're not all about zombies running around, typical stuff. But that's what I'm saying as far as zombies. I know I'm going off topic, but
You mean something like Maggie?
Yeah, Maggie. It Stains the Sands Red.
Oh my God, I love that movie.
Me too. There was the two they came out last year. They were
Cargo
and
Ravenous.
Ravenous.
There was a third,
zombies.
The Cured, but
The Cured, not typical.
Yeah.
But not hordes of zombies like World War Z type stuff and like.
Cargo was brilliant last year.
Oh, that was so good.
Yeah.
So so Lacey.
Yeah.
Have you seen those movies? Do you not like anything involving a zombie, or are you tired of like not running, but like
no? I just don't like them at all. I don't like them at all. Like not like The Walking Dead is not my shit. Like I don't know. It's just it's my least favorite subgenre. I think it's highly overrated. Like I don't care. I just don't like it. That's
I understand that though.
No, I just I can't stand the term overrated. We've had this conversation.
I know, but I really do. I really like it's just not for me. And like to see it like rehashed and talked about so much, is that a better word? It's rehashed. How about that?
There you go. Okay, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just feel like it's it's just I don't know. I can't get into it. I really do not like the subgenre. It's like my least favorite horror films. I mean, I'm trying to think of Pet Sematary is okay for a zombie film. I like it when it's done differently, I guess. But if it's creative, but if it's just like I did like the Dawn of the Dead remake, I guess.
Oh,
I
there's
thought
so
that
many
was solid.
classic zombies.
It's just not for me.
It pains me. Any chance Dan can come back?
Dan feels the same way.
Oh.
You're like, off with this 86
right?
them.
Yeah.
He's 86.
Any other podcasters in your house right now?
I got my dog.
You know what I love is The
Bring
Dead.
Jewel on.
I love that movie. That's
What
one of
movie?
The Dead. It's one of my favorite movies. It's made by the Ford brothers. It actually went to Africa to make the movie. They almost fucking died while they're making the movie from malaria. And they were robbed. But while they were doing it, like the first day they were there, they got mugged and all their film equipment got stolen and like the actual making of the film is just as harrowing as the film itself. But it's, to me, it's a really good example of it's a slow moving zombie movie, but it's kind of terrifying. Like have you guys seen it?
I've never even heard of it.
I've seen it.
Okay.
It had a sequel too, right?
Yeah, the sequel takes place in India, and it's pretty much the same movie, just in India. I don't dislike the sequel, but it's just that I don't really feel like they do anything different with it. But holy crap, it's one of my all-time favorite zombie movies. I love it.
Nice. Now I found the movie I was talking. It was from 2000. Well, it says 19. It wasn't. It was 2018. It was another found footage movie involving priests going somewhere, and the third act ended up being very similar to this. It was called The Devil's Doorway from 2018.
Oh, I've seen that.
Now, don't you see the compare? Like, I mean,
yeah,
a little different. In the fall of 1960, Father Thomas Riley and Father John Thornton were sent by the Vatican to investigate a miraculous event in an Irish home for fallen women, only to uncover something much more horrific. And that movie was similar to this, where, like people were being sent somewhere to investigate something, and what they find is much different. But the third act of both movies was very similar. And I remember a lot of people saw Devil's Doorway. And at the time, I was mentioning to people, well, it was good, but I think that The Final Prayer was better. And a lot of people hadn't seen it. It seems like this movie's been, I don't know, kind of overlooked.
I think this is definitely a little bit of an underrated film, because I had never seen it before. I'd heard of it and heard it was good. But usually I don't love when it's, the church going to investigate, because then it's usually something that's supernatural from the present. But I love the fact that they spend a large chunk of this movie, even the church members. Not Gray is actually the one who believes the most in what's going on, and he's not even religious.
Yeah.
Yet the father, Mark, and Deacon, who's basically our main character, are spending pretty much the whole movie debunking everything. Oh, well, this is how they did this: amplifiers, subwoofers, microphones, whatever it may be,
fishing line, whatever it may be.
Yeah, exactly. And you see Father Krellick running around, so they think that he's manipulating things at times. I love that, because you don't know if it's supernatural. When it goes supernatural from the start, it's when it kind of loses me.
Well, because you're right, they develop the characters, so and they don't just give you everybody out of the gate. You're with the first filmmaker. He's setting everything up. Then you get the father.
First, you get that flashback, which I didn't know what was going on. I didn't realize that was the scene at. Was that the scene at?
Is it the
when he's yelling that Fresnetti is dead? That was back in Bella.
Oh, that's what that was. See, that's and anyone that's listening that has not seen this movie or tried to watch it, there are no subs in the intro. There are no subtitles in this movie, not on the DVD.
3 lines, they say.
I understand, but when you first start watching a movie and the first 2 minutes someone's speaking another language, and you think you might be in trouble here, that, you know what I mean? Because Christine said something today. She goes, I tried to watch it before, but it didn't have subs. And I go, listen, you should have hung in, because I thought the same thing. But no, it's actually English. It's just that first minute. But it's unusual not to see subtitles. But nowhere, they just do not exist. Because I looked, they have it on Hoopla. They have it on Tubi. So I looked around. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? That's just the way the movie's made. So if anybody watches it, just remember the first minute or so is in another language. And
that opening scene of Deacon going crazy is obviously, it has to be in the past based on how this movie plays out. And it's the scene in Bellum, because they talk about Bellum throughout the movie, and then they talk about that he was there. And he references that Father Fresnetti, was in critical condition, and that all the others had disappeared, where they're later found in the jungle. And even that, they talk about the the poisoning and maybe the locals being involved. So they're even debunking, that. And I thought it was really creative and well done. There's a lot of deep story in this.
Yeah, and most found footage movies won't go to the depth of the characterization or after when shit's starting to hit the fan, when the priest does what he does later on, and they go back to the local bar and they're not serving them.
Yeah.
And again, a great sequence. The town folk are pissed off, and they're not going to serve them anymore, and it was going to become a big problem, and they had to calm them. He had to calm the priest down and everything else, and get out of there. I thought that's great. Like, these are scenes that you would not normally see in a movie like this. You'd see in a regular film, but they play it well because they're always wearing the cameras on their heads that they forget about. So it works.
you don't know how it's going to play out either. It's really well done. They tell the backstory of the last minister in the 1880s who was the last minister before the church closed for a while, and how God told him to start an orphanage and all that. And obviously you're hearing that baby crying throughout. And they give you just enough, and they give you all these different things going on that you really don't know how it's going to play out, which is what makes the third act so exciting. And I just thought that ending, where it's not usually an ending I would love.
Oh,
I absolutely loved it.
Well, you're throughout. You're like, is it ghosts? Is it, Which is honestly, I think for the most of the film, that's where you're going with it. The strange noises, the things moving, the babies crying. It's very paranormal, like very ghosty.
Yeah. Yep.
So then what it actually does hit you with what is really going on, it's like a slap in the face. You're like, oh my God.
They supposedly were in like a cave locale for that end. I read up, I don't know if it was just on IMDb or on Wikipedia or whatever, but they said that a lot of their fear and emotion came from the fact of just being in tight. Like one of my biggest fears is claustrophobic, like being contained and trying to if I got stuck in a cave or something like that, I'd lose it.
Shoot me.
You're talking about drowning, Dave, is your biggest fear? That would be the end for me.
Drowning
I would
and rocking horses.
I can't. Whoa. Son of a bitch.
Somebody
That okay?
Yeah, my lord. I can't stand not being able to move. Like if you ever go to get like an MRI done or get like not ultrasound, but
I had one done this week.
Some pictures, and they're like, okay, you have to lay perfectly still. That freaks me out. It makes me want to move that much more.
I know.
And it's like watching The Descent. When they're squeezing through the little tight places in The Descent. I can't. Like, if I can't move my arms and legs, I'll start to panic.
Yeah.
Even if I knew it was perfectly safe, if I was just an actor in this film and I knew there were people around who would help me, no, I would freak out.
Right.
Like the end of the Blair Witch movie, the new one, where she's like in the hole and then she goes and tunnels her way through, or like crawls through the thing. Nope.
Oh,
I'd be
awful.
dead.
I'm with
like
you.
Like being pulled into a chat group. Nope.
No.
Nope.
Oh, that's great. Nope. Peace out. Jamie J. Sammons has left the group.
I didn't realize you guys even noticed. That is so funny. I didn't even know you noticed that I did that.
I happened to be in the chat the one day, and I saw Mike has added Jamie, and you just wrote nope, and the guy. It's like, what just happened here?
It's like Montgomery. Remember Montgomery, Jamie?
Oh, God.
He used to add us to all these groups, and then we'd leave, and then he'd add us again, and we got into it with him. Oh, it was great.
So at the end, are they being consumed?
Yes.
Are they being digested?
They're in
it's
the
like
belly of the
Sarlacc
beast.
Pit.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Really?
Like a Sarlacc pit. No, it's not. But I mean,
no, but it's an ingestion, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
They're in the belly of the beast.
When he's saying that it's burning, it's because the acid.
Yeah.
Acid, the stomach acid is like eating them away. They're being
wow.
And it's really well done, but it was like a what the fuck moment.
They're inside this pagan god that they've been sacrificing all these children to.
I had no idea
That's why I loved it, because usually when it is supernatural in the end, I don't like it. But this time I was like, oh my God, that is so horrifying and awesome. And they're screaming and burning, and he's screaming.
Yeah.
Deacon, you said we'd be okay or something. I forgot what he says. But Gray's yelling at Deacon. He's like, you said it'd be okay.
Yeah,
am I the only one? Am I the only one that didn't know that? Really?
No, I'm with you, Dave.
Thank you.
This is gonna have to be one of those movies that I have to rewatch, because I felt like I was just like, okay, well, I think I understand it, but then like I didn't understand it at all. So like you guys explaining that like makes me want to go back and rewatch and see where I got lost.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing.
Well, I mean, to be fair, to be fair, they hit you with that at the end. Like, it's not like they drop clues or anything along the way where you could, you're looking for it.
I was tripping out on the skulls, Jamie. That was my thing. I saw those little baby skulls there and I was tripping out on that. I'm like, oh man, what the hell's happening here? And then
you don't expect, because they hear the other guys screaming. They go in there after him. They're like climbing through the thing. You don't expect that to happen, and then all of a sudden they're they're just being digested, and they can't get. When he says it's closed on this end now, like I can't get out. The end is closed. That to me, I was just, and then oh my god, like that just ran all over me.
That meant they crawled in his butt and his sphincter closed behind him.
This is scary. Now, it did bring up a couple questions though about the Sarlacc pit, because while I was watching this, I was thinking about one. How does the Sarlacc pit digest people over 1,000 years? Because we die before that naturally anyway.
And where does it shit?
And if I'm being digested for 1,000 years, I don't care because I'm already long dead. And second of all, who knows that? Like, how do they know that?
C-3PO.
He's all knowing. Yes.
But seriously though, my question about this movie is, how are we watching this footage?
Oh,
Wouldn't the equipment have been digested as well, or at least ruined?
Dave, who would normally come up with these complaints? Me. I'd be like, who edited this damn movie? Who's at the master switch controller? Where's the feed going to? And where did the found footage get found if they're digested? But I let it go. I let it go.
I mean, I do too.
The guy from the Vatican.
Ultimately, I let it go too.
He died too. He was down in the caves dead.
I didn't see him. I didn't know that. I thought he was, because all of a sudden, this is what's weird. When they're at the climax of this film, all of a sudden there's this big explosion, and then all of a sudden they're below. And I'm like, well, I just accepted it. It's supernatural.
They went down to look for Father Calvino, who Gray said he saw run down there. In fact, they find Calvino's cross down there. That's why they're down there in the first place.
And you can hear him yelling, right?
He's sobbing. Mark is yelling. Mark, the other one, who's bleeding from the ear the whole movie.
Right. Yeah. What's with that? Does that make any sense in retrospect, the ear thing?
I think it just, I don't know. I think it was just an actual physical damage. I don't think it had any implication to it.
Sustained an injury because he did fall back, and that's fine. I just thought that usually when something like that happens, it leads to something greater. It's okay. Well, that's fine.
And so was it the kids that set the sheep on fire? Because they make
of course, because they were laughing about it.
Later on.
Yeah.
I'm so glad Deacon punched him.
Yeah, me too.
Very unsettling. That scream.
I didn't like that at all.
I had to leave well, I knew it was coming because this is probably like the third time I've seen this movie.
Oh, wow.
And so I knew it was coming. So as soon as they sit down to the dinner table and then like you hear a noise, I'm like, oh, well, I gotta go wash my face. Like, and I leave the room.
And
awful. Brian knows not to pause the movie because there's a reason I'm leaving the room, and I'll be right back. Like, even though I know what happens, I don't need to see it or hear it again. Like, it ruined me the first time. So I was like, I don't need to see it because it disturbs the hell out of me.
Crawling scream, like it really.
It was awful.
I think they really set a sheep on fire for that. I read at the end only one animal was harmed during the making of this movie.
I'm so glad he punched the shit out of that kid. I wish he'd beaten all.
Great scene.
And when he's like, that was uncalled for. They're just kids. I'm like, yeah, they're fucking sheep murdering kids, and I will run over them with my car.
Yeah, any kid who sets an animal on fire is not just a kid. I'm sorry.
I agree. They're old enough to know better.
And then think it's funny, Get the fuck out of here.
Another good red herring, though, too, to have them there. So, again, another thing, like, well, is it the town? Like, is, before we get the big reveal that there is actually, a supernatural pagan god devouring people.
Well,
yeah, it's awesome. It's so Lovecraftian.
Yeah,
you're right.
I thought about that. I'm like, you probably love it because of that.
I do.
Yeah.
Wow. See, because I didn't know that was the outcome. I didn't think about that. But yes, wow. That's freaking crazy.
I didn't even know about this movie when it came out. The only way that I ended up watching it was because Duncan and Bo covered it on Duncan and Bo Come Correct. It was like their very first season of that show. It was one of the early movies that they covered. And I didn't know anything about it. I'd never heard of it. I think it was on the same episode with Afflicted or Affliction.
Oh, another good found footage.
What's that found footage?
I love Afflicted. Where he goes,
I think it's on the same.
Travels.
Yes. Yeah, Afflicted, yeah.
I think it's on the same episode as that movie. And I had never heard of it. So I immediately, because they talked about it so glowingly, I immediately looked for it. And I was blown away. Like, this movie, I think, is just so incredibly well done. And to me, it's genuinely scary. By the time we get to the end, like, everything is just like a roller coaster. It's just going. And when you finally, the realization hits you what's happening to them, it is horrifying.
Yep.
I think, anyway.
Combining two of my worst fears, being claustrophobic and being eaten by a pagan devil.
That's legit.
So, number 1 and number 2, right there.
Damn,
these are the movies that, well, these are the films that make that found footage subgenre stand out. These are you want to see more films like this that are great examples of the subgenres. Repeat myself again, but I want more movies like this for sure. I'm glad it's on your list now retrospectively, because when I saw it, I'm like, this one definitely deserves to be on it.
It is on the list.
I wish I would have had more time to do a second viewing of it, to be honest, because I feel like it kind of calls for that. It's set up really well, and I don't know, I just feel like I'm kind of stupid because I was kind of just left at the ending. I was just like, okay, that's up for interpretation, and it's also like makes it a good movie though too. Like, so it's like I just want to rewatch it.
Right. Well, listen, I watched it twice and I didn't get it. So
yeah. Okay.
And it usually takes me 2 views, so I guess in this case it takes 3, because I want to go back just to see how they came to that conclusion, because I don't know. I don't know if it's something you guys saw or they said.
Because he's saying it's moving, and the way he starts stabbing at the sides, it's stabbing through like the stomach. It's like soft.
Yeah, it clearly looks alive.
Yeah.
It looks like skin on them, and then their skin's kind of
because they're stabbing and the acid's pouring down, and it's burning. The way his hand is like completely burned up. Oh.
So if you look at
the cave drawings earlier too,
I saw that. Yeah.
It's like they're kind of funneling the babies into something. Like it looks like, it's very rudimentary, obviously, because they're cave drawings, but it looks like it kind of looks like they're, I don't think you maybe necessarily get that at the time, but then once you see the end and then like you get it and then you go back and watch it, that's what it'll kind of help drive it home. So I guess maybe they have been laying down clues, but the first time you watch it, you're not going to pick up on them because you don't, as far as you know, there's no reason to. But they have that drawing, and then they have that little model that they find that it looks like the toothy spiral, talking about, like in the cave. Mm-hmm. They find what looks like a toothy spiral looking thing. It's almost like a model of it. I don't know, but I don't really know what the point of that was, but it
which is clues or hints. I think you're
yeah. But yeah, when they're in it, it looks to me like it's moving around. He says it's moving around, and then it looks like it has soft sides, like kind of like an esophagus or something.
Wow. Okay, so what about the priest then? How does that figure in? I'm thinking all this religious stuff. How come the priest did what he did, and then how come the deacon was able to hear the priest after he was gone, and then all that other, and how come those things were moving on the pulpit and all that stuff? And why was the priest on the outside of that window looking in, and they thought that he was trying to make it happen and that it was a hoax, and there was more proof that it was a hoax? How does that tie in to the ultimate reveal? That's where I'm more confused.
That it wasn't a fake. The priest wasn't lying.
But why would the priest do that, and how could the priest be heard from the deacon after he's dead? If it has nothing to do with the devil or anything demonic or supernatural, how is any of that possible when we get to our end game?
Which priest?
Father
the one who committed suicide?
Yes.
Well, why are we hearing the babies cry?
Exactly.
And
because there's dead babies. I get that, but him.
He's dead too.
I don't think you. Okay, maybe I'm not explaining it. The priest. What reason would the priest have to do? Why would he commit suicide? How's that? There's nothing demonic here, and they're investigating. So you would think that maybe Satan was in his head or something or other. I just don't see the suicide part making sense. And then after he's dead, how come Deacon hears him and he's talking to him?
I think the priest commits suicide because he's terrified. He keeps praying to God and nothing's happening. This evil presence is still there. He knows it's not a hoax. He's reached the end of his line.
So
and how come he was outside the window? Martyrs?
I think he just happened to be outside the window. It's just
like
a movie. Yeah, exactly.
And why did he run away acting suspiciously then?
Maybe he was
Why are you acting suspiciously?
I just don't get it. Like, it all looks like it's leading to something devil supernatural type thing. And then if you guys are telling me that it's something else, I'm like, well, why would there be any communication? And why would all that stuff happen? What about the cross on the pulpit? Just the cross twice not being knocked off the pulpit. To me, that screams freaking demonic spiritual shit being taken place at this parish.
Well,
but
again,
now
I think it's misdirection. I think that
I get that, but why? It doesn't make sense.
Practicality purposes, they want you, the filmmakers want you to think that it's something supernatural and something ghostly.
Maybe the
demonic.
beast farted. Maybe the beast farted and the cross fell off.
I think it's the creature getting restless and within the film, I think it's the creature getting restless and moving around, and then every time he moves, it kind of moves the whole thing. I think that's probably the explanation for that. As far as the babies crying I even said, because I was asking the same questions. I had the same conversation with Brian. I'm like, but why, if it's not ghostly, why do we have, why are the babies crying? And why, other than them trying to point us in a different direction, what's the point? And then I came up with everything from the creature is like those flowers in not, I always want to say touristas. No, the ruins.
The ruins.
Where it's just like, it's like bait, it baits people to get them to come down there by having babies cry. So people will come down.
It's a devil. It's a devil. Devil can pull trickery.
I think it's not like it's a totally mindless thing. I think it is sentient in that it plans things. I don't know, but that's just the best I can come up with. Other than that, there are ghosts. The only other explanation is that there are ghosts too, and I don't really think that makes sense.
Right? So, that's what I'm saying. That kind of takes it down for me a little bit. I like a misdirection when it can be explained at the end of the film. And like, okay, well, I can see that happening. This makes sense. You can connect the dots a certain way. But when you do something and then the end result doesn't add up the right way. I don't know.
I think you're overlooking it. I think it's quite simple. I think you got a demonic being here, a devil god that's
Is it demonic though?
Yeah, it's a devil god. It was a pagan devil god that Mandeville was sacrificing babies to in the 1880s because he thought he was told to open an orphanage, and then he kind of switched and became evil and started feeding the babies to this.
See, maybe he was told to open the orphanage, but by that thing.
Right.
So
he was, yeah.
It kind of puppets people,
exactly.
And by having them hear things like babies crying or whatever, I think it does whatever it needs to do to get food.
Exactly. The fact that there's a giant beast living underneath a church in a cave, I can buy the fact that it can manipulate the sounds of baby crying or I totally agree that the restlessness of the being, the restlessness of this being is also making everything move. I like that theory completely. And the priest is just getting, Father Krellick, who commits suicide, is just getting more and more frustrated that they're not believing him.
And he's suspicious.
He is suspicious, but he's also strung out. I mean,
he's running away
in church at night praying to God. He wants help, and he must feel abandoned by the fact that he's not getting any help, and that's why he commits suicide.
You don't think an evil being underneath the church, Dave, could make all this happen? Or are you hung up about the sounds of the baby and that stuff?
No, I don't care about the sounds of I just don't get why now. So for some reason, this thing just decides to start making a couple noises now while the priests are there. Shouldn't it wait for the freaking congregation to get filled and then get a real meal?
Well, the church. Well, if it does it too out in the open, then it's not going to work. It has to be, kind of strategic about how it does things. And then the church was closed for a while, so
yeah.
It's got to be hungry as fuck.
Yeah.
Because that bookshelf was locked off, so it hasn't eaten for a long time.
What I did like about this movie is, the relationship between Deacon and Gray. Yep. Because I feel like, I feel like they're relatable, and I feel like, it's kind of the way that the director set this up. It's like we were going through the motions with them, and, like once the reveal at the end does happen, now that I feel like I understand it, because it was almost like it was over their heads as well. And I'm thinking it's like going to be like an exorcism type of movie, or, something along those lines. And then it's just completely something else. And does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
I don't think they realize the power of this, because even the father they bring in from the Vatican at the end, doing this vanishing ritual, I think they don't realize what they're dealing with here.
Yeah, I think they thought it was what I thought it was going to be, which was, like a simple, like, demonic movie.
Yeah.
And it wasn't at all. So, like, with you guys explaining it, like, I feel
presence in, and here's this demon god that's, beyond all powerful, and it's like, oh, your simple prayers will not work here.
I always say this. It's funny when Dave gets hung up on something that I never thought was an issue, because
But now has it become an issue for you too?
No, not really. I am questioning it when I wasn't before,
right.
But it's not taking my enjoyment of the movie down. I'm not gonna dock it points for it, because overall it was effective, and it was scary, and I like the characters, and I like what they did, how they presented the found footage.
I have zero issues with it. I really can't.
Okay, what about the recording thing? How come, remember they set up all those speakers and they were doing those like EVP type recordings when one speaker was here and one was there, and they were only getting noises here with the frequency and all that? All that to me.
The baby cries is where they.
Was baby cries? Okay.
They're hearing the sound coming from one wall, but we're dealing with something that can trickery.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's fine. I'm not saying it's knocking my rating down, because my rating kind of went up a little when I hear the end result, because that's a lot cooler than just, them being underground for no reason. And now that's fine. So now it's just kind of staying the same. I would like it to go up because of how impressed I was by the revelation of what's really at play here. But it can't, because I have these little tiny issues with it. But whatever. I do like the characters.
Which is fine.
Yeah, I do like the characters. I like Deacon. I like the way, right off the bat with Krellick when he comes in there and he says something like, and Krellick says, I thought I would be underdressed. And his attitude was like, you got to be, grace. He says something, and then grace to the humble. Basically saying, I'm a deacon, but I'm not going to walk around, and I'm not into all that pageantry. This is not the way it's intended. He has a good attitude about religion. He is a religious man. You know what I mean? He does believe, but he's not into, the pageantry of it all and all that gaga. So
which again, and I'm broken record here of saying you don't usually get this type of characterization in a found footage film. I'm generalizing, of course. Sure. I know there's other films that are out there that do it, but most of the ones I've seen are mostly there for the setup, and then of course all the ghostly payoffs. Like even Paranormal Activity, Lacey, and we all I think agree that it's effective, but they're not really deep characters.
Yeah.
In the first movie, the husband and wife, they're not really. It's just two people you're following. That's kind of how that one works. Is it just could be anybody, and they just have to make them interesting enough. But this one, you actually get some characterization, and usually we don't in these. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, we do get it, and we get. And here's what I like. I like that I like movies when people come out and they're skeptics. You know what I mean? They come out and they're there to to disprove something, and even though they're men of the cloth and they have to believe in certain things, they still come out there and they're like, okay, we're skeptics here. We're here to prove something isn't happening, and then it ends up that they're wrong. There's not a whole lot of movies that do it, but some do, and a lot of times they're found footage. People come out and they have like a goal. Like the possession of Michael King was one of them, and what was the other one? The guy came out and tried to
the possession of Rodney King.
Yeah, him too.
Yeah. Are we gonna do this again?
That was the same joke, wasn't it?
And then we had a bunch of other kings that you rolled off.
Oh yeah, we can't go down that road again.
Well, it's Black History Month, the possession of Martin Luther King, not Martin Luther.
Speaking of Martin Luther, yeah, listen to what I did. I cheated on my social studies exam in 11th grade because I never paid attention in school. So anyway, we got to the end, and one of the questions on the exam was talk about Martin Luther. So I just tried to freaking bamboozle him, and I wrote all about Martin Luther King instead. Just in case they came back and said, hey, you got this wrong. I said, no, what are you talking about? This is true about him. But
yeah.
I was trying to bamboozle adults anyway. Every time I think of Martin Luther, because I still don't know who that is, because I never paid attention to social studies. But I knew who Martin Luther King was.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. That made me think of that. Ah, shit.
Well, it's been a long show, so I'm going to try to move things along and say, does anybody have anything else to add? Final thoughts? Ratings?
Final prayers.
You beat me to it. Final prayers.
Nice.
Awesome.
Well, do you guys like the title The Borderlands or The Final Prayer better? Like, what do you think?
The final prayer for me.
I don't think either are great. How's that?
I only ever knew it as the Borderlands until fairly recently, and then I learned that Final Prayer was the American title.
Right.
But I had only ever known it as the Borderlands, and I kind of like that because it's like the border between this world and this other world that we actually coexist with. We just don't know it.
Oh, that's even that.
Oh.
Yeah, that actually makes me like it more too. It's just it seems so generic. If you type it into IMDb, 1,000 things pop up other than this movie.
Yeah,
you
actually,
type in Final Prayer, boom, it pops up immediately.
Yeah, after that explanation of Borderlands, I'm actually going to stick with Final Prayer.
Can I switch my vote? I'm switching my vote. I'm with Team Jamie.
Jackass. What?
Hey?
What, Christian?
I'm on Team Jamie.
Oh,
he's being a jerk. He's got to be him.
Hey, we can be swayed. We're not too proud to be swayed. It does happen.
I think it's a good thing
that either.
When he makes smart-ass comments. Like, I think that means that
you're in.
That I fit.
I'm very impressed with a lot of things that have been said on this show tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Oh, but not Christian. Not Christian. No.
I knew that wasn't directed at me.
Awesome. All right, so final thoughts and ratings? That's going to be a thing now, huh? Do we steal that from someone, or does someone else say that in the show?
No, we invented that.
We invented that too?
And even if we did steal it, it's now ours.
Anything we do, we've invented it.
Someone does that, Jamie, or no?
Somebody, I think it's a YouTube channel. Who wins their YouTube reviews with? And now I'll be right back with my final thoughts and rate. Oh, it's Bloodbath and Beyond.
Isn't it Jerry Springer?
That's final thought, yeah.
That's final thought, yeah.
That's what he says.
Bloodbath and Beyond says final thoughts and ratings.
I do it in all my reviews.
Do you?
Final thoughts, yeah. I haven't written in a long time, but yeah, I don't do a rating in pop horror, but I always say final thought.
Oh, I gotcha. Well, we didn't.
Like final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Nobody.
Yada 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 yada. I love this movie.
He got stabbed in the leg.
Leave him alone.
I was just going to say, leave her alone.
Leave her alone.
That's awesome.
Oh, my God.
All right. Well, yes, you get to go first. Go ahead.
Like
FTNR.
This is going to be one of those movies, like I said, it's going to benefit from a rewatch for me. Like, a lot did go over my head, unfortunately. So I don't know if that's the mark of the fact that it's going to be a rewatch. We'll see. But for me, it kind of just missed the mark. Like, I did like the shots, the style, and the two actors were really good. But it just missed the mark for me, I guess. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
All right, 6 ain't so.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Not great, but it's okay.
Didn't hate it.
That's okay.
Like, it was a 5. and then you guys talking like I need to go back and rewatch it.
Jamie's got sweet potatoes a beckoning, so we don't want to
They take a while. It's okay. I roast them slow so they get really sweet.
Damn, making me hungry.
You know what? I really don't have any issues with this film. There are a couple of things that I bounce back and forth, like, why this? I wonder why this. In the end, they don't hurt it for me. It just it's something to be curious about. I really, really, really do enjoy this one. So I'm going to say like a 9.5.
And Brian loves it too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I'll tell him my rating. I don't want him to hate me.
Right. This is right. I don't think that would be the reason. If you don't, I'm kidding.
God,
I know. She knows I'm fucking with her because we actually hang out a lot. But
I love Jamie. Oh fuck! All right, go on.
Awesome. Oh, that's it. I'm done. It's a good.
I'm almost interested in seeing what Dave has to say now too, because he seems to be kind of torn, and I feel it's on the low.
Sad.
I don't think he liked it.
I think he's at a 7.
No,
I liked it. I think he's gonna give it an 8, but I think he wants to give it more than that.
I think he's gonna give it a 6.
All right, let's see. I'm going with 8.
I'm actually. Well, there you go. I'm right in between the guys here. I'm
7.5.
7.5. Yeah, 7.5. Nothing changed.
That's closer to 8. Unless one of the price is right, then I overbid.
You lose.
But I enjoyed it. I do want to say that there was a great jump scare in this movie when that freaking crucifix jumped off the wall and Christ collapsed. Oh man, that was freaking crazy. Yeah.
The power of Christ collapses.
Yeah. It was impactful. Yeah, because the cross didn't just fall off the wall, but Christ himself crumbled. He collapsed. He snapped in half and went down. It was like, and it was
that would have been a better. That would have been a better name for the film than Final Prayer or Borderlands. Christ collapses.
You're right. Man, I tell you.
Dan, what did you rate the Final Prayer? He didn't like it.
That's a good rating. Awesome. Okay, then.
I can't wait to edit that out. So
$1.
Dan Chase finally makes an appearance. And that's
I'm kidding, Dan. Brendan, you go last because I think you probably enjoyed it almost as much as Jamie, if not more. I think I'm gonna go in right at an 8. Enjoyable found footage film, scary, and the end was really tense, for sure. Oh man, I could just imagine filming it and not wanting to be there at all.
You know, even though I feel I have a grasp on this film, I do feel a rewatch will help me better solidify a final score. But for a first-time viewing, I really enjoyed the characters. I love that third act and that ending. The sheep scene is one of the more terrifying scenes I've seen in a movie recently. Really, like, blood-curdling screams. I don't know how they recreated those. Like, I think they really killed the sheep. I'm still convinced. Solid 8 out of 10.
No.
Yeah, I hope not. Solid 8 out of 10 for first time viewing, but it could definitely go higher. Cool. Yeah.
I really thought you were going to be higher than I was, so but that's awesome.
Yeah, it made me want to have a poo, actually. Did you hear when he said that in the movie?
Yeah.
He's like, I want to take the thing out when I have a poo. I'm like, have a poo. I'm going to start using that phrase.
I actually told, that is so British. It is so incredibly British to say have a poo.
That's amazing. Have a poo.
Gray's comedy, for some reason, maybe his look too, he just reminded me of John Oliver.
I said the same thing.
Did you?
I did. I was like, you tell him, John Oliver. Well, we're
yeah, right? I'm like, John Oliver's that made me really enjoy it because I'm like, I like this guy's comedy. I'm like, this that's awesome.
The late night guy?
Yeah, the late night guy.
Yeah. Okay, so that's so funny that you said that. That's exactly, now that's 3 of us.
Yeah.
Because I thought the same thing too. I actually had to look him up going, was he maybe in a horror film before he went into late night comedy? I'm like, nope, not him, but it looked exactly like him.
Is everybody okay, by the way?
Yeah.
Sound like something collapsed.
Oh, that was Dan.
Is Dan still alive?
Dan, they want to know if you're alive.
Dan, how do you mess up dinner? How did you mess up ordering dinner?
Well, no, actually, the Chinese was delivered.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, great. Coronavirus now.
Oh, what? Didn't you say something about the coronavirus yesterday? It was kind of funny.
I might have it.
Why would you may have it?
It's kind of funny.
Waka.
What about it?
Like, I thought you said something funny about it, but now I don't. And
I probably did.
I looked at you and I was like, sometimes you're funny.
Aw, baby.
Okay,
He
bye.
said something about getting a lighter version of the virus by drinking Corona Lights.
No.
And on that note, everybody.
And on that note, goodbye. We're off the air.
What a show. What a show. What a time.
I had a
Great
blast.
stuff. I did
you
too, man.
too.
This was a great show, seriously.
You know,
Yes.
coronavirus goes hand in hand with Lyme disease.
Oh,
Oh!
that was
Damn.
way better than
It
the
was.
Yes, it was.
Coronavirus is better with some Lyme disease.
Whew. That's rough. Damn.
That's a great joke. I
That was
wish
a
I
great
had thought
joke.
of
Okay.
Thank you for joining.
guys.
that.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It was a great time. The
We
first
went-
time I've done
we
anything
went
with Lacey. You
We
know.
would offer an open invitation, but we did that with Watson, and you see what's happened. So
This is true. Well, let's give them a chance to hawk their wares out the door. So tell us where we can find yous. So
Iowa.
Yeah. Iowa.
Iowa.
Well,
Okay, Lacey, you can find her now.
Iowa. On Cut to the Chase with Dan Chase, who you just heard. I don't know if you're going to edit his bitch ass out yet or not, but and then a new podcast with Derek B. They're here, where we're talking like underrated films. And am I on anything else? No? Okay. That's it.
Good.
Oh, and I
Choose
write for
enough.
pophorror.com.
Word. There you go.
Cool.
Awesome.
And Jamie, let's hear it.
Well, Dave, you know that I do the ABCs of Hidden Horror
I've heard.
with you and Brian. And then I recently brought back Liking It, and Brian was gracious enough to join me on that. And I'd also do the Married with Children podcast, which drops every Wednesday, where we talk about every episode. I am on Cinema Beef pretty sporadically these days, but I try. And that's just any genre. We talk about whatever.
Liking it. I'm loving it.
Yeah, see?
Wow.
When I first told Jason Lloyd about the title years ago when I wanted to start that podcast, and I was like, "This is the name," and he's like, "I don't like it." I'm like, "What?" He's like,
Aw.
"Nobody's gonna get it." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Of course they're gonna get it." Well, then when we released it, because I was adamant, because I'm right. When we released it, everybody was like, "Oh my God, I love the name," blah blah, and I was like, "See."
Yeah.
You can't help it.
You have a cinema beef now with Jason Lloyd?
Nice.
Brandon's striking gold. Every now and then, he's pissed off that you one upped him, and now he has to come back
Aw.
strong
Oh,
for
that
the end.
lime joke. That's a great joke. That's, man.
He's not gonna sleep tonight, Jamie. This is fantastic for me.
Nightmares.
I told you women were fucking funny.
You went Corona Light when Limes was there?
Nice.
Just stab him in the leg.
Leave her alone.
Ah.
Oh,
I think that's it. I think good. I don't
that's
think
it. I wasn't sure. I
Well, I don't know anymore either.
Right? There you go.
I don't know anymore. I never know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Good thing Venom's not on here now.
Oh.
We'd have another hour left.
Oh,
True.
what a great start to the month. That's awesome. We're
Great show.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you guys
awesome.
for the
Guys.
invitation. That means a lot to me.
Me
It really
too.
does.
Anytime, guys.
I've always, I love you guys. I love your show, regardless of what you may think. And and to be like at the top of the list when you, or you know what I mean, to be like the first when you. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else. What I mean is to be the the first one to get to come. Jesus Christ, it's.
You're on. You're in. You're in. Fuck Watson. Fuck every. You're the first on.
First, like woman, because you don't have women on your show. So
Well, now we do.
to be on here with Lacey, that's really, really cool. And that means a lot to me. So,
well, to be, and like, Jamie is podcast royalty to me, and like, it's just so humbling when I get to listen and talk to her. Like, I feel like she makes me a better podcaster. So thank you for, having her on with me as well. Like, I just love recording with her. And
well, evidently not tonight.
What do you mean?
Lacey, this is me. I'm an asshole.
I just gotta say, everything you two ladies just said was sweeter than a honey nipple.
I'm still drinking honey nipple,
but not as yummy as a honey dick.
On that note, we gotta just end it right there. That was beautiful.
That's it.
Thanks,
I have
guys.
yeah, it was awesome. Thank you guys again. Love you very much. We'll do it again. And speaking of princesses, I want to make one quick dedication on the way out. I want to dedicate this very episode to my little girl who we just had to put down, Pepita, 15 years old. It was a very, it was a really crazy experience for me. I didn't think it was going to affect me as much as it did. But I realized, I told my wife the other day, I said, you know what? I go, this is the first time anybody that I've ever lived with in all my years of life has passed away. And I've lived with this girl for the past, 9 years every single day. So it definitely affected me. And so this is for you, Pepita. Love you, baby.
Pepita. We love you. All right, Pepita.
So somebody crack a joke now so we can go out on a real high note. But I had to do that because that's Pepita.
I'm sorry, and this is a loving memory, but I'm still thinking, I guess it was Paranormal Activity 6. Yeah. The dog on, what would Pepita do?
Yeah, the marked ones that you all on
the marked ones.
Yeah.
What
good. That brings out good memories, man.
Good memories of Pepita.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. So, all right. See you guys on the next show, and we love you all.